This whole time, Mr. Z was talking to himself for like a good 5 minutes. Jesus. Wow, Mr. Z was talking. I was talking to myself for like 5 minutes. Oh wow, look at that. Once again, so let's start off by actually shouting out the brother, um, and saying he didn't have to be here. So I actually somewhat agree with him. He did not have to be here. So let's kind of talk about it. For those of you that don't know, the brother FD Signifier was here earlier. That's the brother Roger Report calling me. Um, I'm on, Roger. I'm on. So the brother FD Signifier, it was technical difficulties on my end. I was over here talking and I didn't include myself in the stream, but I'm here. Um, so yeah, the brother FD Signifier was on my show earlier. It was about a 2 hour long conversation, a really good conversation. Thank you, brother Lewis Conyer, for the super sticker. So well, the super chat salute. Thank you, salute. And it was longer than what he said he was willing to speak for. He said he had an hour. He stayed on for about 2 hours. Once again, thank you, brother FD Signifier. There were many things I disagree with him on. The conversation, I sound like a normal conversation amongst brothers. So, um, you know, so I did get a phone call from a close friend, actually my best friend. And he was like, "Man, you did good. I'm proud of you. You practice some discipline right there because you be on people neck, Z." I'm like, "Yeah, I guest on my channel, and had to give him space to speak, and so we can engage with some of the things. I don't know if I mean, according to my friend, he feels as if I got kind of let him take too many jabs at BGS. So if BGS is out there listening, I am sorry. If you know, I'm Team BGS. I'm sorry if I let FD take a few too many jabs at you. I wasn't gonna let him dance on Kevin's grave. I wasn't gonna let him throw Dr. T under the bus too much. Excuse me. Sorry for the cough, you guys. Of course I'm starting to cough now. I've been okay. I've been okay this whole time, and got to get the little cough spell in, right? So BGS said no worries. Thank you, BGS. Thank you. I'm about to put the link up in a minute and have you guys come on. But so I just want to kind of go over a few things. FD did not have to engage with us, right? Um, but he did. And assuming that FD signifier is not an agent, assuming that he's not involved with certain politicians behind the scenes, assuming any of that, you know, um, yeah, if assuming and thank you BGS. BGS said no worries, but if that's how it came out, yeah, because y'all know I'm Team BGS, so but I was when you're kind of in the heat of battle, you're catching stuff, but you're missing stuff too, right? So yeah, but yeah, so you know, assuming that he's not an agent or he doesn't have some politician that's kind of help pushing him with this or some type of Democrat or whatever the hell, you know, um, he might not have to have engaged with this. I mean, last year he said he wasn't going to engage with us. Remember the whole $20,000 thing? So yeah, he'll have a conversation with us to debate us for 20 grand. And Mr. Z definitely don't got 20 grand laying around right now. I'm all right, but I ain't that all right. Not 20 grand liquid, right? So it's actually much respect to him for that. And shout out to Giyogami, a supernova in another galaxy, the patriarchy. My girl looking at me like it's that funny. It's one of those baby, it's one of those like the roots articles type thing. Like a supernova goes off in another galaxy, it's the patriarchy's fault, right? So my girl laughing about it for real. For real. But the brother FD did say patriarchy like a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. So yeah. And for everything, everything. And the brother Lithium, thank you for the super sticker. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And so FD Signifier came in. He had the conversation. He didn't have to be here for 2 hours. Shout out to him for that. And like I said, I was catching as much as I could and missing a lot. I do implore him to engage with Dr. Green Gorilla, with Dr. T. Hassan Johnson, even though he took shots at Dr. T. Hassan Johnson, a lot of shots at Dr. T. Hassan Johnson. if Dr. Curry would have him, but if he said Dr. Curry blocked him on social media, then maybe not. Yeah, so I would encourage him to have a conversation with them. BGS, the same brother, BGS will still talk to you probably. So engage with BGS. These are the people above me in the conversation, right? And these are moderates to lefties, and none of the brothers are necessarily conservative. You know, I don't have an aversion to talking to certain conservatives, especially the brothers that aren't on the like Daffy Duck, tap dancing thing. I don't have an aversion, but the brother FD, boy, he can't do it. If you see his channel, that brother can't do it. You conservative with a cap. Well, I don't, like I said, I don't really know how many capital C conservative brothers we have in America. But if you a conservative capital C brother, oh, he can't do it. That ain't his thing, right? And shout out to Black Wealth and Power. Where can I find the convo between you and FD? It's on the channel. It's the previous video. It's before this, right? It's before this. And thank you for the super sticker. And the brother Louis Conyer says they criticize patriarchy but benefit from it. I mean, he did attempt to mitigate for that a little bit with his conversation. And he acknowledged he's living that life, right? He acknowledged he's living that life. He said he's not bi, so that might kill that rumor right now. Give me a second, y'all. Lady talking. Okay. But oh, BGS, thank you, sir. Thank you. I got a good job from BGS and a super stick. Go ahead. I mean, a super chat.
So, did he defunk that point that you?
What point? Y'all listening to my lady right now. Go ahead.
Like that, working poor middle.
No.
Okay.
Actually,
so in that scenario you proposed that he.
I hope y'all can hear her right now. She speak low. Don't worry about it.
In that.
Go ahead.
Scenario that you what you thought he was getting at with how upper middle class men are going to have a nuclear family.
Yeah.
What system would that be with?
So he said it's always been an elite institution, which he's somewhat right about.
I mean, in those marriages that only the men of his caliber.
Oh, he said put her on. Okay, baby, got to get closer.
Oh God.
Just get closer and talk. Go ahead.
I'm not,
Thank you, BGS. Yeah. And thank you for the super sticker, BGS.
I guess what sort of kicked off that whole conversation between you two.
Just talk.
Okay. No, I was. Hello. I was asking. So the point that sort of kicked off the whole conversation between the two of you, when you thought he was sort of implying that upper middle class men and above would be the only ones that are sort of.
He never said that, but that's how. Yeah.
That's so that system in which those men have the marriages, the nuclear families, and all that. And those families,
we know how those families. But we know what that is. We know it. It is patriarchy. But he tacitly acknowledged that. But what he's saying is the same thing Kim from Fort Harry is saying is Black people can't perform this because it comes from a white racist institution of patriarchy. Patriarchy is part of white supremacy, and so the masses of us don't have the money, don't have the ability as Black men or even Black women to participate in that institution, right? So it's I can and he acknowledged I can live this while criticizing it, and that makes sense to me to a certain extent because we live in a capitalist society and I critique capitalism all the time, so I get that. But I think what he's saying and what Kim from Fort Harry is saying is we can't play that game in mass because we don't have the resources and we ain't white.
Okay, because I've always wondered the people that sort of the feminists not that criticize patriarchy, but still sort of aim at a certain type of man.
Thank you, babe. I said you wasn't even in here, and I said that to him. I said we have feminists that talk all this talk, and then but they want to still play that game. You really have nothing to say about that? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right, y'all heard my lady. Exactly. You see, Mr. Z and his fair lady. That's funny, Spain man. So the fair lady is what they call a Z in Japan. Yeah. That's funny, Spain man. That's funny. That's funny. Right. And what's going on, Sir Anthony? Sir Anthony with the super sticker. What's going on? But yeah, so yeah. So I yeah, babe. I don't know. It was a it was a good conversation for me. I'm happy other brothers got to hear him. So between the Bernard Riley and the me, and Bernard Riley's way bigger. Bernard Riley has more than 10 times the subscribers I have, right? And he's been doing this longer, and for for FD to, like I said, legitimize me to a certain extent with that, mainly because we both have a lot of same critiques of the overall economic and social structure, but I don't. I I I'm gonna start to play around with this concept. And once again, thank you, Sir Anthony, for the super sticker. I'm gonna start playing around with the lowercase p patriarchy, because I don't, and I should have said that. Jeez, I don't know how much black men want to be hegemonic patriarchs, like go around the world cutting heads off, like literally reverse engineer white supremacy. I don't think that's what we're trying to do. I don't think that, like, I don't even know how small the percentage of black men want to just pretty much be black white men. I think black men just want to leave their homes, provide for their families, be the air quotes lowercase p patriarch in their home. I don't think they care about having their wife even bow to them or kiss their feet, or you got to cook every day, and like I don't think we want barefoot and pregnant. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
If you can't cook.
yeah.
And
But I don't even care if I cook food like that every day. So
okay.
yeah, that part.
But I don't know. Like I'm not a super feminist. Like as far as like
But
equal
we're not.
wages and like
But we concede
being
all
in
of
the
that.
workforce. But like I like the door
Yeah,
opening,
yeah.
you taking out the trash.
And my subscribers have heard me say, "All right, y'all, I gotta go because I'm gonna walk my lady out." Like I've been sitting in the car, be like, "Oh, it's time," and like I've missed a couple of times, but like, "Oh, I gotta go in like 5 minutes." Like so, and that's air quotes still part of a patriarchal, because if we did full egalitarian 50-50, women ain't gonna like that, and I think FD know that, but his side of the political spectrum are not willing to concede that part, right? They're not. Oh yeah, and thank you, Giogami. And he said, "Is Miss Z a victim of Mr. Z's evil patriarchal?" Oh, I don't think she would say that. I don't even. I don't think she would ever say that, right? And like, thank you for Giogami being funny, right? And I don't think she would ever say that. And like, I don't know, babe. I mean, and by the way, this is like so not staged. I'm not even joking. Like, you just came in and yeah, you you love Popeyes too much. My girl not even into it. The last time she had Popeyes is when I bought it in the house. When that was like for the family. When that was like 4 months ago or something, like 3-4 months ago. That's the last time. She don't even eat Popeyes. That's a me thing.
I literally just walked in from the gym.
She just came from the gym. Ask Mr. Z the last time he been in the gym. She go to the gym at least like 3 times a week type stuff. Yeah, and yeah. My my lady who's in this supposed patriarchal relationship with me can squat 300 pounds. I'm not lying to y'all. She can squat 300 pounds. But remember, Mr. Z is over here in the black manosphere with all the rah 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 patriarchs, and my woman, if she kicks me, can probably cave my chest in. But I mean, Mr. Z is in a relationship with because he's rah 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 patriarchy and reigning over women, and yeah, y'all. So I don't know. That's a bunch of yeah. The conversation with the brother, and I don't know how much he was saying that. I think that's why he um came to my channel, because I don't think he thinks that I'm that type of person, right? And he's pretty much said as much, right? So yeah, I don't think he thinks I'm that type of person. I'll bring y'all on. I'll just baby, I figured out how to do it myself. Yeah, because I was like, you're not, because I didn't know when you were going to come back. So I was like, you're not here, and I got to figure this out. So like I spent like a couple minutes like pressing things in. All right, that's the link, and you guys are welcome to come up. Yeah. Cheryl Billy said, "Bitch, where's my dinner?" I don't even. My girl would look at me crazy because I don't even talk like that's not even. Betty, you said patriarchy. I feel you made a lot of great points. I wish you would have had him define his patriarchy and what black men actually are seeking. Well, better you're up here already, so you can say that. Go ahead, brother.
Hey, how you doing, man?
What's going on? Why are you? Wait a minute. You should be able to come into my. I'm hearing you from the loudspeaker, not from. Give me a second. Give me a second.
Okay.
Why is he not? It was coming on perfectly okay. That's weird. Give me a second, yo. Give me a second, yo. Give me a second.
Okay.
Mhm. Technical difficulties. Apple products. You see? Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Now, I just wanted to say good job, brother.
Mm.
I felt like you really
No, no.
you really did a good job of letting him make his points and holding your own. One
Mhm.
of the things that I really would have liked for you to press him on
Mhm.
was it was like check and mate with like, yo, what you got for the men who want family?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When he was like, yeah, that was the one. That was the one time. I shout out. I spoke to a brother in the space, and that was the one. He was like, yeah. After that, it was checkmate, and I was like, I'm be a little bit more humble. I don't really mean it. I think we needed to engage with his conversation for some of us moderates and lefties, right?
Yeah,
He spoke to Bernard. Bernard, the brother, is more on the political right, and now he spoke to me, who's more on the political left. And I think we needed to engage with his kind of worldview, and once again, that's from the left. What's the answer to this? And I don't know if the left has an answer. I think that is why so many young men, I mean, not young men, sorry, but men are dropping out. That's why the Democrats say they have a man problem, right? Shout out to AB. Like
That,
that's what I think they're
that's an
saying.
understatement.
Go
100
ahead.
100% agree. Oh, go ahead, bro.
No, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, yo. I don't know. Better you want to finish up, and then AB go ahead. But better
Yeah,
you go.
and I'll say this because I'm actually about to hop into a restaurant in like the next 5 minutes. But
Then you
the
just
other
make
thing
sure
is,
make sure this one don't tell you 70 grand ain't enough. Go ahead.
oh no no no, I worked out today solo, so I'm just about to go in,
Mhm.
get a little something to eat, and just chill out, maybe watch a game on the TV or something.
Okay, okay, go ahead.
But I, in terms of patriarchy, because he kept coming back to everything as patriarchy, and I think I kind of get what he was going for, which is
Hmm.
that a lot of society structures were built by white patriarchs and this white patriarchal
Hmm.
structure. And I feel there's a divergence between the way FD comes at it and the way most people in the manosphere come at it, because most in the manosphere come at it from a bottom up approach, which is why I think there's so much of a focus on the individual and what they can do for them and their collective and their unit, whereas FD is speaking more so. Actually, you did a stream on it as well from the structural point.
Yeah.
But within that, though, I definitely really will argue black patriarchy and white patriarchy is nowhere near the same.
That's why I'm considering. That's why I said the
Yep.
lowercase p patriarchy, because I don't see black men, the vast majority of black men, and this is even when I get into some of the back and forth with some of the conservative brothers, aren't attempting to take white patriarchy and paint it black and say this is what we're gonna be, right? Like you've got to go out here and take heads off, and like I don't know how much of us are saying
Right.
that, like like we want to conquer and pillage and grape the world. Like I don't think we not saying, we literally just want to be the heads of our family, pay some bills, raise our kids, send them to college, and go on
We
vacation when we hit retirement age, right? Like that's pretty much what I hear brothers really saying. But
we pretty much want to be the heads of our family, be left alone.
that's what I'm saying. It's not
Facts.
the, yeah, literally good. Yeah, exactly. AB, exactly. So
But
I don't. Yeah. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
as far as your interview with FD Signifier, I thought you did pretty well.
Thank you, sir.
I know,
Thank you.
I know.
I'm a learned gentleman.
I'm actually glad you let him rock because now he has to
Mhm.
back those words up. Now I want to see him have a conversation with Dr. T or BGS since he called their
Mhm.
name. You may as well
Yeah.
go have a conversation one on one.
I, I
That's on
I
him.
I was like, bro, you taking jabs at Dr. T. Why
Yeah,
can't why, and like that's why I kept on getting on him about the tone policing. What is wrong with Dr. T? And even intellectualizing the red pill. And like wait a minute. Let me get this right. Like I kept on saying, we allowed feminists to say don't tone police me. We allowed
hmm
black women to dance on Kevin Samuel's grave and said, "Don't tell us how to react to this evil man who made us feel like crap." Cool. And then we turn around and tell brothers, academic, educated educators, We told them y'all doing this the wrong way. What?
I will give FD credit. Openly admit it. Now, his words, not mine. He openly admits he eats the rear end of the feminist.
Yeah, I mean,
he did say that.
But AB, don't miss what he was saying to that. Low key, he was saying, I'll eat ass while y'all stay over there complaining about the women and about the structure. And that's pretty much what he's saying. Like, y'all could go ahead and complain. I'll be over here living cush and kind of regurgitating some of these talking points.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I will give FD this. Go ahead.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Z, but I don't think he's had that Negro wake-up call yet. That real Negro wake-up call.
I think from FD's I don't know if he's a true believer. I was just speaking to a brother about this earlier.
Okay.
FD was that. Remember, I said that towards the end, brother. You're only one wrong word away from, like and I see that's where we get into the whole what you're saying right now, which is like the Negro wake-up call. For him, the Negro wake-up call would be black feminists turning on him because he said one wrong thing, which I spoke to, and he doesn't necessarily think. Let me take that back, because he did actually speak to having just a smidge of fear to that, but I don't think he thinks that's necessarily going to happen, because he's disarmed them by speaking the way he does and by showing them, I am on your side. And I don't know how much everyday black man is against black women. I don't think we against black women. We just don't want this. They get to play both sides of the fence. They get to play 3D chess, and we're limited to checkers. I'm not about letting them be damsels in distress and wilting violets while also being I am women, hear me roar, while also using white supremacy, while white supremacist rhetoric and the tools on the table from white supremacy to beat black men over the head with, while at the same time critiquing white supremacy. Yeah, no, you can't do that. And by the way, G and Big Kev, y'all and Zab, y'all can speak whenever y'all want. But yeah, I'm not about that, bro. I'm not about that.
Hey, yeah. Can I have the space right quick?
Go ahead.
All right, cool. Pretty much. Here's what a lot of people don't understand. Okay, people like FD Signifier argue in bad faith all the time. Okay, it's not that, oh my God, he's just so profound. It's like, no, you're in a bubble. Okay, first of all, listen. The reason why FD Signifier says what he says is because it's intellectual masturbation and it gives him a false sense of moral supremacy. That's why he's always dipping and ducking and dodging, and he'll say, yeah, that makes sense, but not in a not as a form of acknowledgement, but as a way of just trying to be like, just kind of slithering in and out of any definitive positions. Okay, here's two things that you have to understand. Okay, he said himself out of his own mouth two things. Number one, he's a male feminist, and number two, okay, he's a communist. We can objectively verify through empirical evidence and through historical research about how both of those things, feminism and communism, okay, have objectively done more damage, or should I say, starting off with feminism, we could objectively verify how feminist public policies and social engineering has objectively done 10,000 times more damage to the so-called community than anything that any one of us is saying in this space. Okay, like that's not debatable.
Gorilla come in. Yep.
Okay, yeah, like that's literally not debatable. They literally cannot argue against that. So, number two, okay, going back to the communist part, we can objectively verify.
Hey, can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, once I'm finished. Yeah. Number two, we can.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we can objectively verify if you look at historical events such as the Great Purge, the Holodomor, all types of horrible things that have happened. The one-child policy in China. We could objectively verify how communism, as an ideology, is rooted in internal repression and oppression of its own citizens. Okay, so when they say these things about quote unquote the patriarchy, it's really just a code word for authoritarian.
Yeah.
The problem is that most far leftists by nature are not anti-authoritarian. They're pro-authoritarian. They're pro-left-wing authoritarian with a gynocentric bias. Exactly. And then the third thing, and I'm gonna say this before I let other people speak, is this, okay? When it comes to, again, going back to the fake moral supremacy argument, okay, the reason why they keep trying to say things like buzzwords like misogynist and whatnot, understand, okay, a misogynist is literally any man who's not either gay, emasculated, cuck, or a far leftist. Okay, so any man that falls outside of that is automatically a quote unquote misogynist. Okay,
Mhm.
and the far left has an extremely distorted view of misogyny because, again, as I said before, show me the Black American male equivalent of Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, Idi Amin. Show me what we do that compares to stuff like female genital mutilation, forced abortions,
That's
bridal
not even a black
kidnappings.
American thing. We don't
Yeah,
even
I'm
think
just
like
saying,
that.
like, we
Yeah,
don't,
yeah, exactly. I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, I'm like,
yeah,
we don't even think like that to even
yeah.
do it. Forget
The
even
reason
doing
why
it.
is because
Like,
we're thinking, okay, most of us are thinking, okay, yeah, I want to be in control of my own family, but I don't want to live in a dystopian hellhole. That's
yeah,
the reason why most
yep,
of us are
yep,
politically
yep.
moderate, because again, we understand the consequences of extremist ideology, which is why most of us aren't extremists. We look at
Mhm.
the consequences. We don't look at the rhetoric. We look at the consequences. We look at
Yeah,
how stuff has played out historically and think, nah, I'm good, bro.
yeah.
You know, I'm
In
not
other words,
trying to,
the theories sound nice, but how's the practical application? This is why I made my
exactly.
video. Yeah, yep, yep, yep,
Exactly,
yep.
exactly. And that's what burns them to their cores because again, despite our caustic criticism of the so-called black women, we're way more reasonable when it comes to practical solutions than they are. Again, most of what they say is rooted in rhetoric and theory, not actual practical application. Because if you look at it practically, it's hot garbage. Okay, you're literally fighting against biology itself. Okay,
Mhm.
you can do all the intersectional feminist theory all you want to. The bottom line is this: if stuff was to go down, if we were to be in some Walking Dead type scenario, they would be trying to look for a strong man to come and protect them. You know,
Trell over
from
here
harm.
acting a whole
Like
fool in the
it doesn't
comments.
matter. You
Trell
know,
said,
so
my apologies, but Trell said, man, if I had been taking shots, I'll be in a coma because how many times did patriarchy? I know.
Yeah,
Go
that's
ahead.
true. He just said
exactly.
Let's going. Go ahead, Big Kev.
But yeah, like that's the reason. Again, that's the reason why they kind of downplay it and why they kind of hate this space and say, oh, we're all misogynists and whatnot. It's not that we're just mouth frothing misogynists. It's the fact that, yeah, we talk about, we have extremely harsh critiques of so called black women. But again, you don't see us advocating for overthrow of the federal government or for gender specific abortions or any of the other crazy stuff or state
That's
sanctioned
crazy. Yeah, no,
violence.
no.
You know
Well,
what I
that's the
mean?
thing.
Because
That's
again,
the thing.
yeah, we understand the consequences of those extremist views. They just look at the theory. They don't look at the outcomes. They just look at the theory. What I believe and my ideology versus no, like how does this stuff actually play out in reality? You know?
Hey,
his
I'm gonna be
closest
honest with
equivalent was
y'all.
Tommy
Real quick, G,
Sotomayor.
let Zab go in because he came in a little bit
Yeah,
earlier. Go ahead,
so
Zab.
Okay,
I
okay.
disagree. I disagree with FD that egalitarianism is a better outcome than patriarchy. And I kept writing in the chat after he said that ancient African societies were
Yeah,
egalitarian, like
yeah.
that's our default. But newsflash, egalitarian Africa is what got Africa into the situation they got themselves in,
Uh-oh.
being conquered,
Whoopsie.
being
Mm,
underdeveloped and tribal. Once they became patriarchal, you want to know what happened? Development, modernity, and civilization, because men
you are
build
pissing off
civilization.
every African
Period.
feminist on the continent right now. Go ahead.
Yeah, men build civilization, period. So he wants to go backwards. I believe in patriarchy. I don't want to do away with the patriarchy. And he's a white supremacist. He believes that white people are superior, not me. He believes that. He believes that black men are powerless and we should just accept that we are powerless and adapt. And that's because he's a weak man.
I ain't gonna say all that. I don't know if the man's weak, but I will say I disagree with his critique of the Black Manosphere.
Hmm.
I don't think like I said, I don't. I've watched his video on. He had a segment about Black conservatism that I thought was very interesting. Um, I I think he understands us more than he lets on. I think he doesn't disagree with us as much as he lets on, and it's going to be interesting to see where he goes from this point, right? From Bernard to me, to see how he engages with what we're saying, because,
But
like I
see,
said,
a lot of men like him who get indoctrinated in these universities with these communist egalitarian mindsets, they believe in this utopian society of
Exactly. Yep.
egalitarianism. And you got to always watch out for dudes like that talk
Yep.
about utopian societies. Like if we were all equal, there is no such thing as equality in nature. You understand? Nature is real. Like you either got it or you don't.
True.
And he wants to. I keep saying he wants to go backwards to this ancient mythical noble savage we were all good before the white man came in mentality, and he keeps attacking patriarchy when he himself he's a hypocrite because he's living in that patriarchy. You know what I'm saying? It just
Yeah.
doesn't make
Yeah,
any
I mean,
sense.
Yeah, like you said.
acknowledged that he acknowledged that he was living the life and benefiting from the things that many of us are aspiring to, which is literally just being married and having children and living, having a nuclear family and just being able to provide for your family and being, head of household, right? So like that's. But let me read this real quick. Thank you, Mr. Me Too. Mr. Me Too says salute Mr. Z for standing tall. Thank you, thank you all for like your compliments. I think I did. I've re-listened to it at 1.75 speed, and I was beating myself up about a few things. Like, damn, I let that go. Damn, I missed that part. But in the heat of the conversation, sometimes you miss certain things. But go ahead. And then after that is
That's the thing.
G, go ahead.
Oh,
Zab, you
that's
were
the
done.
thing. So,
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, anyways, going back to what I said earlier, again, here's the problem. Again, when they try to, how can I put it this? And this is the problem with the far left is that they're constantly misdiagnosing what's wrong with us. Okay,
That's what
like
they
if they
do
were
originally.
doctors, they would be getting hit with all types of medical malpractice lawsuits. Okay, as people like Dr. Tommy Curry and
That was funny.
Dr. Tiason Johnson have pointed out, okay, the primary manifestation of so-called racism is anti-black misandry, or sort of misandristic negrophobia. That's the primary manifestation. Everything else beyond that is just secondary, or like what they call like the aftershock, so to speak. You know what I mean? So the primary way it's going to manifest is negative discrimination towards so-called Black American men. Like we can empirically verify if you look up again policies such as Jim Crow, anti-miscegenation, redlining. These things were about stopping so-called Black men from being quote-unquote patriarchal. So why could we then turn around and say Black men being so-called patriarchal in the family is what destroyed the community when all these policies were centered around trying to stop us from doing it?
I think, and I was having a conversation with a brother, and after
Like,
this,
what are you talking about?
I'm gonna let G speak after. But I was okay. I was having a conversation with a brother in the space after the stream, and I said, I think the brother FD thinks and feels as if he's like, because he kind of alluded to it, which is, I hear y'all and I don't disagree, but y'all being too loud. I'm trying to sanitize your rhetoric and bring it to the other side, to the left.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
He can't.
He's tone policing.
Tone, and so that's what I said. Yeah, tone policing. Yeah. But go ahead, BGS, and then G, you gonna have to get in behind BGS.
No. G can go.
no,
Okay,
the wise man. Go ahead, wise man.
No, go ahead, G. Go ahead, G.
All right.
Can I go after both of them?
Yeah.
I've been listening to the rhetoric from
Call out
guys
the
like
numbers.
Right.
yeah.
Everybody take a stand in line. Go ahead, G.
Yeah, I've been listening to the rhetoric from guys like FD, and I've just been listening to the whole manosphere rhetoric for years. And honestly, it's enlightened me. It gave me the vocabulary of a lot of things I was thinking but couldn't understand, right? A lot of these people's issues with the manosphere is that it's enlightening brothers and giving them the language they didn't have before. So before, when brothers was going through stuff and stressed out, and you would just scream or just, you know how we do when we get frustrated, we just go somewhere private and have a Cuban Gooding Jr. moment. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how society is for Black men. It be sometimes you gotta just go in the room and just swing at the air and shit.
Yeah, right.
What the fuck is going on, man?
Boys in the hood moment.
Yeah, because you be thinking you in the Twilight Zone and shit. Like, this shit gotta be the Twilight Zone, man.
That was fun.
Like, how the fuck we get killed but y'all get some money? What the hell is going on? Like this shit, like the thing that, like, I remember watching a Trayvon Martin situation. After they let that dude go, his mother went and worked for them. I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, how can
I shook her hand.
Yeah, his father is still attempting to get justice, and the mother that went and worked for the system.
She getting paid.
Anybody ever heard of Jordan Russell Davis? I'm just saying, keep going. Similar. Actually, Jordan
No,
Russell.
go ahead, BGS. Go ahead.
Trayvon's mom
Hello?
lost
Are
the
you
election.
done? Are you
Jordan
done?
Russell Davis' mom won the election, but go ahead. Go ahead, BGS. Go ahead.
Oh, basically, man, we really, you know, I was told him, man, FD signifier, y'all didn't give a shit about the black manosphere or the manosphere until we went mainstream after Kevin. Y'all didn't give a shit.
I agree with that.
And basically now, you know, because I've heard from academics, man, we're a problem. Okay,
Yeah.
so say that nobody can hear us is bullshit. Okay,
Yeah.
it's
That were
bullshit
insignificant. Yeah.
because he knows it because I hear from Dr. T, I hear from Green Gorilla and Dr. and Ronald. Basically, okay, we just see 3 or 4, 3, 4, 5 PhDs here, right? But there's 100 more behind them that can't speak up. That's sitting there influencing, you know, decisions on the ground, and the women that they have to counter don't like it because they don't have any answers. So saying that we're just this little bitty thing that's insignificant and we're too loud, and you got way more power if you guys just get in line and get, you know, just like Tiffany Cross says, get behind your black women, right? Get behind your
FD
feminists.
just told us that. He just said that on my channel.
He just said
my girl listening to, because I don't know why my headphones not working so she can hear y'all, and he was like, Tiffany Cross would get in line, but FD pretty much
said the same thing. Yeah, we know because guess what? What is it? Because he actually mentioned. It mentioned what's his name? Killer Mike being red pilled, right? Because he read the title.
He was reading your title.
He's reading a title, but he didn't look at the video about what I was saying, right? About being red pilled, right? Which is what they do. I'm gonna read. Oh, we can't get rock behind you guys in these titles, right? But you know what? And I said this before. I said this 2 years ago, right? Especially after COVID, right? At this point, y'all don't matter. You guys don't matter at all, right? Because this is what happens on the inside of this feminist movement inside the United States. Y'all don't matter. Why do you think they put Andrew Tate in fucking jail? Because they try to silence him because he's riling up all these disaffected men all over the world.
Yeah,
it's a problem, right? Kevin Samuels is a problem worldwide, not just here, right? The passport bros are a problem worldwide. Okay.
Threat to the status quo.
All these movements are going global, not just local, but global and mainstream, like with a rocket. Even Dr. Thunder said, Passport Bros has reached escape velocity within less than a year. Okay, you can't. They've gone mainstream and global. You can't stop the message, right? And the thing is, you can't stop the message because the underlying environment that's causing these guys to act like that hasn't been corrected. Why do you think Richard Reeves put Tommy Curry's book, mentioned his book for like 2 pages in his book, right? Why do you do that? Why he mentioned the black manosphere? He says I agree with it. I agree with his tenets. I just think they're going about it wrong. Why do you think
yes? So do you think that's part of the reason why he's like coming out trying to put us back on the plantation?
He's trying to recruit us, trying to recruit you. In other words, he's the feminists are not making grounds like they used to, right? And the black manosphere, especially for the black feminists, black intersectional
they reached their market cap. BGS, it's done. They reached their market cap. It's done. It's done. It's done. They reached their market cap.
What thing is they have influence at the top, right? But thing is they can't. The thing is we have a counter narrative, especially the black manosphere, right? We have a counter narrative. Like they're trying to say, well, we're doing this for the black people, and black manosphere is bullshit because only 10% of your boys can read. What about them? Okay,
I saw you putting that in the comments. I saw it, and I was like,
I know he ignored that one.
Yeah. And that's the thing, BGS. They scared. They're fearing the production of men or young millennials with them, and like, because my mentality is I don't even want none of that shit. Like I'm not disillusioned. I'm not trying to get married. I'm not trying to have no family. None of that. I just want to have children. And I'm legally protected. I'm legally set. I already done fucked off my young part of life in this guy knockers. My young part of my life, I fucked it up. Now that I'm building something, I'm not never giving it up. And with the nature that the manosphere exposed, there's going to be a lot of men like me that's just like, look, I get a male roommate. You know what I'm saying? It's not that we homosexual. I'd rather get inside of a male corporation like the military, the army, something that's structured like that, and live with males before I sacrifice my well-being for women.
I will say this. He didn't really have anything to push back on when I said, and this is where SYSBM and Passport Bros come in. if you're saying everything about us is wrong and you feel endangered, and when I said, all right, then either you got two choices outside of black men: go get that mythical, magical white man, or go engage in some same-sex relationships. He's like, yo, we can't say that. Yeah, we can.
Yeah, we can. You got extra quiet
He's
about
like, but what about growth though? You guys aren't going to grow. All right,
You
But
know, the funny part
about
about his
growth.
thing,
What are you talking about growth? What do you mean? What does that mean?
no, I'm saying that's what he was saying in response.
Yeah. Like
It's about growth. What do
our
you mean
message
grow?
is small. It won't grow. It won't. Yeah.
How can you not grow and go mainstream and cause a problem?
I'm just
Or
saying.
if we're so small and it doesn't matter, then why are you here?
Exactly. You didn't hear before we went mainstream.
Yeah, that destroys this whole argument. The fact that you're coming over here to
He
try
didn't
to
have to
beat
be
us
here.
back into submission.
Yeah,
You
nobody
understand
came
the
to you.
problem?
Nobody
I mean,
came looking for you.
he's talking like a door-to-door salesman.
yeah.
You know,
The funny
offering
part
to go to
is that
One at a time, y'all. Okay, one at a time.
when they say that we ain't taking them on dates, that's the direct effect of the manosphere. Man, don't go on dates no more. Man, don't open doors no more because Dr. Ron and it was telling us stop taking these bitches on dates.
Yep.
Like stop
the
doing that.
question is, why should we?
Exactly. So now you got a group of men like this. You got to go ahead, Z.
No. I'm just saying he conceded the foodie call part. Go ahead. G, you finish up, then Lion. Then Alan Stranger, then Lion. Go ahead.
Dating is not for hooking up. Dating is for courting, just like what Mr. Z does with his woman. Mr. Z dates his woman because that's his woman, right? You don't date somebody you don't know. So dating is not for hooking up. It's for getting to know the woman that you're trying to court.
Well,
Okay?
listen, BGS, this shit's so cold out here. My man girl texted him like, baby, I'm hungry. He said, shit, me too. You know, that's how they try to get you. I'm hungry. Shit, me too. Shit.
They start telling you about their problems and their bills, and you supposed to.
Man, you know, as soon as you start talking to them, you call them one night. What's going on? Oh, I'm just so stressed out. Like, damn, what's wrong? I just don't know where I'm gonna get this. That shit is dead, man. All of that sim talk is dead, man.
Yeah. Call me back when you get it figured out.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to come over Thursday. I'm not trying to be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. You know
unless we got an arrangement. Old guy like me, unless we have an arrangement. Okay.
That's what I'm saying, BGS. They was used to the older dudes doing that. Now, all the generation, not all of us, it's a percentage of us that's doing that. You still got dudes who trying to go on date, but they don't actually want to go on dates with them.
It don't even got to be all G. It just got to be a critical mass, brother. It just
I was about to say, but yeah, going back to
and after this, Alan Stranger. But go ahead, finish up, Big Kid. Go ahead.
But yeah, going back to what guys like Mrs. E and BGS were pointing out again, he tries to assert that the problem is so-called patriarchy. I'm like, you do know this has been historically documented. You do know that whole female supremacist narrative comes from chattel slavery. Like as BGS pointed out, in the book page 137 of the Negro Family of the United States by E. Franklin Frazier, it literally says that at the beginning of the chapter, that whole narrative of putting the woman's needs above the men and the children, that comes from slavery. So that whole worldview was used as a way of subjugating us, not as a way of freeing us, which is why, not surprisingly, in these female-dominated households where the woman's word is all that matters, it's conveniently the very same parts of the community that have the most poverty, violence, mental illness, child abuse, etc. Okay, that's the reason why they're trying to elevate the woman above the man, is because they're trying to promote chaos and dysfunction, not because they care so much about the woman. You know what I mean? And then,
I don't. If you listen to when I addressed nameless concept of the hive model, and I was like, essentially, they want to do the whole "I lead from behind" and your worker being my husband is just a big dumb jock. He didn't actually have anything to say about that.
Yeah. Like
I think they all want the same thing. They want the benefits of patriarchy, but they want this egalitarian outlook. And
there's no such thing as egalitarian. This is a state-run gynocracy. It's not egalitarian anything.
It's
not a patriarchy anymore.
Yeah, and going back to what BJS was saying, that was actually a concept that was explored. If you guys ever read the book called Anatomy of Female Power, where he talks about the macho, the musho, when it comes to like the paradigm, like I said, of the gynocracy, you have the musho, which is basically the guy with no backbone, the yes dear, like openly emasculated man. And then we have the macho, which is the guy who looks big and strong, but secretly he's being led around the nose too. Okay, and again, going back to what what they said about they want the benefits of male leadership without the actual men having the authority and respect. Again, that's what they're referring to, that dynamic. They want you to be the macho, aka physically strong but mentally weak. Physically durable but mentally fragile. They don't want you to
easily
actually
pliable and all of that other good stuff.
exactly. And like you said, it's like as Dr. T. Johnson has pointed out, it's like if you look at the history of so-called Black American men, I mean, we have a long history of being progressive towards women. Okay, like literally, like many of these things that they talk about, such as women having universal suffrage and inheritance rights. This was present in many indigenous societies, in America, Pacific Islands, etc., long before the Europeans ever got there. So them trying to claim that somehow this narrative of all women were oppressed throughout history and they were all just hopeless and subjugated until these wonderful white feminists rose up and
it's a
right.
lie.
It's complete BS, And same thing goes with the narrative of being a housewife was considered slavery. I'm like, no, it wasn't. Being a housewife was a massive luxury. Most women had to work outside the home throughout history. Most women were.
Yep, they did.
But it was as a supportive role. Say, for example, she would milk the cows and he would lift the hay if y'all lived on a farm. If y'all lived in the city, he would work in the factory. She would work as like a seamstress. Or if you guys ran a family business, he would do the kitchen work in the back. She would take orders. They would handle the more tedious work that wasn't like physically stressful, but tedious. And then we would handle more of like the hard labor that's like
labor intensive stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. Physically and mentally labor intensive stuff. You know what I mean? So this narrative of being a housewife was slavery is like, no, it wasn't. Being a housewife in 1920s and 50s was like saying I work a remote job nowadays. Like, wait, you don't got to clock in? You can just stay at home? Like, yeah. I'm like, oh man, dude, you live in life. Like, what are you like? What are you talking about? Like, the only thing you have to worry about is just make sure the guy's not being abusive, and as long as the guy's not being physically or emotionally abusive, like you're set for
Kev,
life.
let me let my bad, brother, but let me let Alan Stranger go. Black Guru just jumped in, and I really want to hear what he has to say. So Alan Stranger, go ahead, and then Black Guru.
Cool. I had a couple of points. One, I love how he just tried to presuppose that everybody in this sphere was unmarried and unmoored and just not attached to any women.
That's why I brought up Black Guru without bringing up Black Guru. Yep, go ahead.
Also, this whole idea that their actions are reactive to us presupposes that all Black men have been nothing but troglodytes and nothing but rapists and killers and abusers, and that sounds like the birth of a nation. Please tell me how you're not a white supremacist again.
I'm just saying.
Like, oh, I have a better idea. To be another step and fetch it, nigga? Really? All right. Point number two. The other thing that I had to say is like, I'm a sphere in and of myself and my subscriber count. Just because you got a lot of people listening to you doesn't mean that you're saying anything important. And the thing that made me so upset, it was just like, he's bringing that up as if we need to be validated by him. He came into the space offering butter biscuits. Like, we're presenting an ultimatum. We don't need you, bruh. You coming over here saying, oh, please, sir, please go back to worshiping pussy roll so we can have another Black community. No, nigga, you do what we say or we leave.
That's where SYSB and Passport Bros come in. That's why I said that. And he really didn't. When the question I said about what does the left have to say about nuclear family, and when I said, all right, fine, you feel threatened by us, then go end up with the mythical, magical white man and go and eat some vagina. Really ain't got nothing to say about that. I mean,
that was a great point, by the way, Z. When you said that, I was like, thank you.
Because and you know why I was able to come up with that so quickly? Because a few years ago, Dr. Tommy Curry was on Yvette's show, and a lady said that in the comments, and Dr. Tommy Curry was like, that's sad that you see us as a bigger threat. And I remember thinking then, and that was like, what, 3-4 years ago, maybe even longer than that. I remember thinking to myself, yeah, that was longer than that. I remember thinking to myself, like, then why doesn't she just end up go date the white dudes or the Latinos or somebody, or go end up in a same-sex relationship? Fine, we're losers. We don't build, we don't protect, and well, at least on this side of the game, it's we're a threat. We and he played with a little bit of that femicide language. I'm like, all right, if y'all feel
Shaming
like
language.
go over there. Go ahead.
And
Go ahead,
another thing is like, and this was probably the most intellectually disingenuous point of it all, was you keep on you keep on conflating white supremacist patriarchy with what the flashes of Black patriarchy and what that looked like, and those are two totally different things.
Yep.
That's one. And two, the whole entire basis of modern society is built on patriarchy. Even if we want to talk about communist Russia or Vietnam, it was still a patriarchy, because guess what? Them hoes didn't siege Berlin, nigga.
Okay, I should have asked this question. I'm beating myself up for not asking this question. Alan, after this, I'm gonna let Black Uru get in. But I beat myself up because I said it, but I didn't say it the way I needed to say it, like this. All right, how you gonna incentivize the boys and the men then? And I should have said that like that. I missed it, and I'm beating myself up about that, because I should have said it like that. I went more to the family thing, and he's still that's everybody caught that thing, but yeah. See, Oliver the Gray, Mr. Z was soft. Riley voice, F your car, F your queen.
Oh damn, Alan dropped off.
Oh, Alan, you dropped off. Okay, no, but all right, Alan, when you get back up, but go ahead, Black Uru.
Oh shit, can I go? Because I was gonna be really.
Hey, see ya.
I'll be right before, because I do want to hear what Black Uru has to say, because I saw he dropped a lot.
If you don't mind, Black Uru, let Lion go real quick. Go ahead, Lion. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'll be real quick. But yeah, to the same point, what Alan was saying before about this renouncing patriarchy. My question is, you want to renounce patriarchy? Does that include state-sanctioned marriage?
We got Mojo Jojo up hysterical. Go ahead, Lion.
Like, you want to renounce patriarchy? Does that include state-sanctioned marriage? Does that include alimony? Does that include child support?
Oops.
So if you want to renounce patriarchy, you mean that same patriarchy that gave women the right to vote? You mean that same patriarchy that allows women to join the armed forces, but yet they still don't have to sign up for selective service? That patriarchy you talking about that you want to renounce so bad? I'm just saying, you can't have it both ways. Or that same patriarchy that taught men chivalry. And chivalry is a concept, and it's about as old as patriarchy in itself. And to this
he brought it up. He brought up chivalry. He actually schooled me on the original way that they used to pronounce it. I did not know that.
No, but he did not tell the actual truth. Chivalry initially was not about catering to the needs of females. Chivalry was an honor code amongst combatants, particularly knights.
Yes.
It was about how men who kill each other should conduct themselves, essentially, whether or not they should kill each other.
Yeah.
That's where the chivalric code was originally created. It was highfalutin, born females who expanded the code to include essentially high-born females, or some sort of code to essentially protect and honor and inflate their particular standing in the social order. But chivalry was primarily an honor code, was a Geneva Convention, if you will, amongst knights.
Absolutely right, Black.
Let me read this real quick, Black Rule, before you finish.
But they just didn't. But they did.
Real quick, Lion. Let me get this up.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you good. Oliver the Gray says, slap him in the face for not giving BGS respect. You see, BGS, you got advocates.
Too.
Yeah, I was in the heat of the conversation, y'all. I let a lot of things slide. And
he is not. He is scared shitless to be undressed by BGS.
Right.
That would be his worst nightmare.
That
would be his worst nightmare, because BGS is not. BGS does not have the form. See, he may risk, being undressed by, let's say, Dr. T. Son Johnson, Dr. O'Neill, Green Gorilla, because at least they have the standing PhD sheepskin. So if he were to essentially be undressed by them, it would not appear to be such a negative thing. But there's no way he want to be going against an autodidact.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
There's no way. No.
Oliver the Gray also
a street fighter.
Oliver the Gray
no.
It's like an NBA player being beat by the street ball brothers.
Yeah, going to
Oliver the Gray says Black.
Yeah, so I mean, there was so much. There was a lot. He was.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Black Room. Go ahead.
Oh no! Were you still? Did you still have something to say? Sorry.
The comment was Black Room.
Yeah, go ahead, please. Thank you.
It is, but that's another thing. But that's another thing too, because I remember a while back last year when BGS did his video talking about FD signifier. This is my first time actually hearing this dude voice, and now I really understand why BGS don't like him. I see why.
Yeah.
I see why. But
he's a black misandrous. I don't believe he sounds like a black misandrous. He sounds like he doesn't particularly like black men.
Sounds like
I mean, if you listen to that conversation,
you niggas,
he used a lot. He used a lot of shaming language. Towards black men. He said he made some particularly negative statements about Dr. Curry, if you recall.
But
I mean,
that's why he got blocked.
He's kind of a nasty sort. Yeah.
And that's why I kept on saying, how are you?
And he was lying so much. Oh, and did you notice that he essentially blamed the Black Manosphere for the for BLM not being exposed more quickly than they were? Did you notice that?
I saw that. Yeah. I read that comment. Yeah.
But also to add to that, when you talk about the Black Manosphere and your only frame of reference is Fresh and Fit and Andrew Tate, I can't take you seriously.
Yeah.
No.
And as a matter of fact, so when he was speaking, it's as if he was saying like, okay, I'm acknowledging that there's somewhat of a space between you and Bernard Riley, and I was saying like, yeah, but I still won't let you throw him under the bus. Like that's why I was like, I'm not allowed. Yes, we have our disagreements, but and I kept on bringing it up. You're not gonna Barack Obama Reverend Wright me. I'm not gonna engage in that. Well, distance yourself from this person so you know we can legitimate you and maybe you can be. I'm not struggling necessarily in life, so you can.
Lucky you.
Voice of the Black Manosphere, Z. Like, y'all can find another brother that'll take that paycheck, not me.
Yeah.
They were trying to buy you, Mr. Z.
Maybe I don't know. You never know. You never know. But I'm about to sell all y'all out.
Hey, what was in that envelope, Mr. Z?
Wait, hold on, BGS. How do we know they didn't like mail him some photos or compromising photos or send him a big,
no compromising photos.
Oh, they tried to hit him with the House of Cards.
Ain't no pictures of Z doing anything weird or anything with some same-sex dude or anything with
or caught in some places you shouldn't be or some shit like that.
Yeah, they got photos of him with a Ford Taurus.
Yeah,
Alan, you ain't shit for that one, but
what was
oh, by the way,
I had a last point about
wait, Naaman. Let's finish the.
Hold on, I had one last point about the Shivery point. And to Black Rule, he's absolutely right where that came from. But later on they wanted to include it as the respect to women. But the thing I find funny is you want to renounce the patriarchy that birthed that form of chivalry. But it's funny how today's women still want that to this day.
That's my point.
They still want that though.
That's my point.
What they want is
they want the benefits of feminism, but they want you to pay for it, and you gotta keep a certain amount or certain elements of quote patriarchy around to compel you to pay for it and prop up their feminism.
Exactly. They want the benefits of both. They want the benefits of feminism and patriarchy. They want the chivalry of patriarchy
without any of the drawbacks or responsibilities.
Yeah, but they still want to be boss bitches.
Yeah, and AB, go ahead, and then wait. Actually, let me read this first. Mr. Z, Jeezy said, "Get this money. F these, save black men, people." Funny, and And the brother Elwood said, "Are you sure he was trying to recruit you, Z?" Maybe, maybe not. I think it was just a conversation amongst brothers, but you never know if he was kind of trying to feel out. But I think it was just just a conversation, and he was.
I mean, I heard
just
him
trying
loud
to
and
throw his
clear.
points out.
I heard him loud and
Go
clear
ahead.
when you said you won't throw like Bernard or anybody else under the bus. He was like, "No, I want you to throw him under the bus." He said that.
Yeah.
Mr. Z, how thick was the envelope they handed you?
I wish. I'll be like Manosphere. Who? No, I'm playing. Y'all know that's not me. That's not me. I can't do it.
I mean, they can buy a lot of plum wine. I know about you, man.
Yeah, beating them over the head.
Y'all got to give me
money, Z.
Nah, but Black Ruru was all you, sir.
Become the people that I'm criticizing.
Well, I mean, as I listened to it, and you said something earlier about patriarchy, and you were describing the hypocrisy of decrying patriarchy while still wanting to embrace and maintain many things that are born from patriarchy. What I found very interesting from the conversation was he repeatedly mentioned these feminist tropes, patriarchy, misogyny, in the context of Black life, and he provided virtually no real specific examples of how those elements actually exist within our community in particular. I mean, how do you have a patriarchy in a community where the majority of people who are employed, the majority of people who graduate from college are female? How do you possibly have a patriarchy? So what are you talking about? It's like he's got a feminist playbook that he was taught in college, and he was taught these phrases, and he was just sort of mimicking a lot of these sort of trite statements that they learn in college, and sort of feed and cannibalize amongst each other this doctrine that has no basis of application amongst Black people. How do you have a patriarchy in boss bitch Black America? How?
True.
How does that phrase even exist in a patriarchy?
Yep.
So I mean, it's just insane.
I'm glad you said that, Black Ruru, because I noticed he kept saying that Black men are such a danger to Black women, and I kept thinking to myself, wait a minute, how Black women are a danger to themselves. Remember, this is the boss bitch Black community. They run everything, and if we actually pay attention to the ones who are actually in danger, they endanger themselves.
True. AB, let me get this out real quick, because this is acting a fool in the comments. So first, Rogus says, told you got next, Cuzzo, and he actually did. Rogus Ben said that. Appreciate you for your effect, funny, and ability of speaking social litmus test. Thank you, brother. Thank you very much. Pieces of Life 88 says, that's fun. That's actually a really good title. Pieces of Life 88 says, something in the keep, Mr. Z here envelope.
Wait a minute, $4.99? What are you, a chicken dinner? Get out of here with that.
Somebody got something for the chicken. I am Wolf's envelope full of Popeyes chicken and biscuits.
Coupons, he means. He mean the $2 coupons.
No, because I stay eating Popeyes on the way to work when I'm doing my lives. It's hysterical. And all of it.
$1.99? Wait. I understand people are I know the economy is hard right now, but everybody even pinching pennies when it comes to donations.
But you could get maybe a couple of pieces before. No, actually, no, that's a lie. Yeah, Popeyes done got expensive, y'all. Trust me, I know. And let's continue with AB. Go ahead, AB.
I can't go anywhere, so this going good.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, AB.
No, that's all I was gonna say. I'm good.
All right.
Nah, but shout out to you, Z. When you push back, I knew you had reached fucking mode when you said, well, you know what? If Black men are so damn bad, you take your ass on then.
Yeah,
I was in the back room like, yeah.
Well, again, the whole purpose,
what
like
answer,
that,
what
is
else could you say? Like, okay, they're afraid of us. All right, then that's why I said go end up with the mythical magical white man, or go engage in same-sex relationships. And I'm not saying that to be hyperbolic. I mean that from like the pit of my stomach. Like, if
We know.
We'll be happy. Leave us alone.
I know
by
you
the
did.
men you are in community with,
I know.
and the way of chastising them is from the bottom with the I don't need no man stuff all the way to the top in the corporate offices of insulting their masculinity and pretty much telling them they shouldn't be trying to uh, aspire for any patriarchal notions of anything. Then fine, go.
Exactly. Anybody about to sit here and listen day in, day out.
Here's a good question here that people don't think to ask. It's like they're always telling us about how, so-called black men being patriarchs in their own family is evil and wrong, and promotes sexism and it's oppressive and whatnot. All right, cool. Where's the empirical evidence supporting those claims?
Yeah.
No, seriously.
What's
the empirical evidence that says that okay, as a result of black men that are being the primary breadwinner and the final decision maker within their own families, that communities that have a high presence of those men have a higher than normal crime rate, poverty, child abuse, domestic violence rate, etc. Because all the empirical evidence says the exact opposite. In fact, even when so-called black men don't have, when they have different quote unquote races of women as the moms, the children turn out better when a dad is there actively involved. So it's like you're saying that, but it's like you're saying that, but the film, when we run the film and do the film study, it says the exact opposite.
At some point, I think black men and neither are Asian women.
Go ahead.
At some point, I think we're going to have to start to collectively charge the universities and this college with malpractice.
Yeah.
Particularly those who are awarding these PhDs to these pseudo social scientists, these feminists. What sort of criteria where you could publish books, for example, that are almost wholly unresourced by anything other than supposition and innuendo and wives' tales and fables amongst your friends and shit like that. And black feminists have gotten away with that for generations and have been highly, highly awarded, in doing that with titles and with degrees.
It's interesting you mentioned that.
Naaman, let me get this out before you said it. And referring to the space, I know that's what he's trying to say. Referring to the space as a weirdo sucker people, like we're not accomplished gentlemen. Thank you, Black Uru, BG. We got accomplished people. The doctors in here, all of our brothers like Obsidian in here. Blue collar brothers that are accomplished. And thank you once again, Oliver the Great, for the other stupid sticker. Thank you very much. Go ahead, Naaman.
Yeah. What I want to say is, Black Guru, it's interesting you say that, because if we were to try, if that were the case, do you have any idea how many of these so-called pseudo scientists and so-called faux intellectuals would have their titles revoked? Their theses would be destroyed because of plagiarism and because the source materials they use, especially the bibliography and lexicons they use, would have been from disreputable or irrelevant sources and whatnot.
And one of the reasons why they ran Dr. Curry out of this country was because of how he was exposing that.
Absolutely.
And that's a very dangerous thing to expose amongst that cohort of people, because so many of them have ascended along that particular basis that if you too much expose how utterly, again, unresourced so much of this material is, that's been the basis of social science, been the basis of governmental action and regulation. The whole thing looks like just a damn mirage.
Yeah,
that's why they had to get Dr. Curry out of this country.
Like you said, and this is the point where they don't hate to have to give when they give the whole patriarchy speech. It's almost like Big Worm at Friday. Like, what the hell does that have to do with us? What does that have to do with us specifically? Like, stop trying to talk about the men and the patriarchy. No. What does that have to do with us in America, us brothers in America? What does that have to do with us?
Black Americans and their relationship with
Renounced,
white men.
talking about renounced patriarchy. The same patriarchy that put Stacey Abrams in that position to run for office in the first
place.
That patriarchy you talking about?
Good point.
Oh,
let me read this real quick, y'all. KW Don said every 5.5 hours. R.I.P. Shanquella Robinson. Hey, that was women.
Yep, same thing goes for Lauren Smith-Fields. You know,
I want to bring up one quick statistical point, real quick. It'll be 5 seconds. He was bringing up, they're scared of us. Like, and Gigi went through this actually. There's at least, I think it was like an entire decade, but it was at least a span of at least 5 years where Black men were the leading ones.
It was longer than that. It was almost 20 years. I know exactly what
it was almost 20 years. Exactly.
Yeah.
Where Black women were killing Black men more than vice versa. So what is this? Y'all are scared. We got video of hoes running over niggas in front of Publix.
Yeah.
It's called a narrative, Alan.
Yeah.
Understand that.
And when you don't have to prove anything, you don't have to prove anything, and you can publish books and publish theses and doctorates, and when the society, and that's why I said I think we should start to charge the colleges and universities with malpractice who've awarded those people, because they've enabled and empowered these mostly women, but you got these men as well, like the gentleman you spoke to earlier today, who operate based on nothing that's really empirically proven or backed. And the colleges help them to do that. The organizations, the charitable grant awarding organizations, they all participate in a sort of conspiratorial intellectual fallacy.
That's a fact.
Yeah, but
it's not just on one side. It's also on both sides. We see this kind of absurdities and fallacies. But
go ahead.
Go ahead.
But at the same time, it's to explain to Alan about the whole thing about they're afraid of Black men. I mean, I live on the other side of the Atlantic, and considering what a certain president during his election campaign said about Latinos, Latin men in particular, that same trope is used to describe those of my own ilk, because I am African and everything. You know, they say we do that, we bring crime. Of course, on top of that, they also claim that we also bring diseases and we're a menace to their societies and we bring destruction. It's always going to be that Black trope. They're always going to put on people, to Black men in particular. No matter what your ethnicity, race, or ethnicity, tribal affiliation, nationality, what passport you have, you're Black, they automatically assume you are a threat. I remember Professor Black Truth always said this. Black folks have to come to terms with the fact that anywhere you go, when you come around non-Black people, for some reason, they're going to feel uncomfortable around you.
Yeah.
There's going to be a certain level of cultural shock. And I deal with that day in, day out. But I learned how to disarm certain people. Some people, you just got to learn how to step away from them.
You know what this reminds me of? I'm not even going to call her sister. The Black woman that was a former porn star. A couple months ago, I covered it. Actually, it was earlier this year I covered it. I just covered it on New Year's or whatever, Christmas or something.
Talking about the white supremacist.
Yeah, the one that got the one that got the picture with the white supremacist dude. She was a former porn star, and how she was speaking about us. Like, I'm afraid. It's like I'm afraid that these Black people, they're harassing me. And
could you type it in the back chat, the name?
Oh, okay. I'll give you guys her name. I gotta look it up because I covered it in the beginning and you already forgot it. But yeah, she was speaking. Oh, somebody already put it. Thank you, brother. She was speaking as if she was afraid of us for real, and that was like the bat signal to white society. These sisters engage in this all the time. The bat signal. You're making me mad, so I'm gonna call the cops on you to regulate you for me. That's where she was engaging.
Well, and
go ahead.
And he was making these statements about the system. We don't take on the system. Well, how do you take on the system if Black women are propping up and benefiting from the system? If over half of your own people are actually beneficiaries, or actually willful highly resourced contributors and maintainers of the system, then how do you take it on?
And what was that system built on? Say the word. Say the word.
And Joe said
patriarchy.
Go ahead and say it. Go ahead and say it.
Joe says, Black man, if only you could just find a way to Steven Seagal the patriarchy hysterical while using the patriarchy, things will get better. Sarcasm. Salute, Mr. Z, for 3 streams today. I know. For real. I've been streaming.
Is he talking about the Steven Seagal with the big?
When I'm not working, go ahead. But it just.
Are you talking about this? Are you talking about? Is he?
Real quick, name it. I enjoyed today thoroughly, but y'all had me working when I was off. But this was great because I actually wanted y'all to hear. First of all, I actually do thank him for coming on, but he didn't have to do that. And I wanted y'all to really hear him engage and get some pushback from a different side of the spectrum, right? So he got to speak to Bernard for I think that was about an hour, and then he spoke to me for 2 hours. But I implore him once again. Excuse me, I'm not joking. I implore him once again to speak to either BGS, Green Gorilla, Dr. T, or maybe speak to all 3 of them. But maybe not. But yeah, go ahead, Neymar.
Well, one thing. Yeah. If you guys talk with him, one thing he repeatedly said, and I'm sure BGS and the doctors, I guess, would expose this. But one thing he repeatedly said was that he disagreed with the interpretation or the analysis of the data that we often draw in this environment. But he did not, and he said that several times. But he provided, as he repeatedly did, provided no particular context, no particular example, nothing you could actually utilize to extrapolate some degree of clarity as to what he means. And again, he does what feminists often do. They use tropes, they use phrases, etc., but they don't provide any real context and perspective in depth to a lot of assertions that they make.
Also to your point, Uru, to his constant repeating words, he kept using the words patriarchy and misogyny, but he never used the word misandry.
I don't know if he knows it. And shout out to the people that caught him saying gynocracy instead of gynocracy. I was letting that slide because Bernard checked him the other day, so he was trying to be funny. Bernard checked him about the pronunciation the other video, so he was just trying to be funny, and I didn't want to go off on a tangent saying it so that he could mispronounce. It reminds me, like I said, of white folks when they're trying to be on some our culture superior thing, and they purposely mispronounce a word or a name to show how much above it they are. He was engaging in that. So let me read this real quick.
Well, he tried to be dismissive, and he tried to and even in his laughing of. It clearly was used as a way to be dismissive, not necessarily of you personally, Z, but to be dismissive of the issue or the point that was being made itself.
Yeah, I agree. I think so.
He was the classic black man that has white face underneath it. That's not talking about.
Hysterical. Elwood Johnson says, did you notice FD was disappointed no one bowed to him? I mean, I showed him the appropriate grace. And I will continue to do that. That's just me. That's just how I speak to people, especially people I disagree with, right? But yeah, I mean, remember he said he's the king of the manosphere on Bernard's channel, so there's that part too. Y'all continue.
What do you mean, king?
Bow down. That's a moment.
Well, I thought he had labeled Kevin Samuels to be the king of the manosphere.
He was saying it about himself. He said about
Long live the king.
He said about what's her name? Just Pearly Things.
Just Pearly Things.
Yeah.
See, that was again. That's just him being dismissive. Just being
condescending.
Unnecessarily nasty and hostile. Unnecessarily.
Yeah. I mean,
he was. Look at it this way. He was very condescending. He was being very passive aggressive, and he was like, he was doing a lot of
I mean, he could have did he did.
He was at certain times. He was.
Like
If you could,
sound like a battle rapper for a second. Go ahead.
At certain points, he was. Z, if you listen to playback and listen carefully, the way he was talking, the way he talks, and let's not forget, for every once in a while, he wasn't fighting fair. He was, he was sucker punching. He was sometimes used a few sucker punches below the belt and whatnot, but you were able to counter it and whatnot. But I think the thing is that
actual physicians are niggas, according to him. Just saying.
Yeah. I mean, like he conceded that some of these people have they're maybe being animated by something else, not just wanting to see the betterment of black women per se, or have black men come to a better understanding of their manhood and masculinity and maybe something more healthy. He pretty much conceded that, maybe it might be being animated by many of them by something else. And I'm like, but why did it have to take us in this space yelling, moving the needle, Kevin Samuel? Why did it have to take all of this for y'all to acknowledge the very clear? I should have asked this. How long were y'all gonna let these women just run amok? Like, how long was that gonna happen?
How long were they gonna pretend it didn't exist?
They were gonna let them run amok as long as they get to benefit in their get their own butter biscuits. That's how long they were gonna let it happen.
Honestly,
my girl just chuckled at that, Black Widow. That was funny. Yeah, good point. And Oliver the Great said, "I'm proud of you, but Mr. Z let so much slide. I was in the heat of the conversation.
You did a good job.
I think you did a great job.
Yeah, let him hang himself.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I think you did a great job because you didn't respond to, because he tried to do a lot of trickery and he tried to do a lot of stuff, and you could have responded to all of that, but by not responding to all of that, you actually allow him to expose himself more than he might have had you become grounded in one particular point or another quarreling with. So no, I think you did the opposite. I think by not necessarily debating any particular point for too long, you really exposed him.
Yeah, you did. You did a great job letting him talk. You did a good job letting him talk, because the more he talked, the stupider he sounded.
I couldn't. Yeah, I couldn't.
You turned him into Hafiz.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. You were like Pearl. You were like Pearly. You're right. That's a great comparison. He exposed himself.
He exposed himself. And the longer you let him talk, the stupider he sounded.
He did.
Because if you weren't looking at the chat, the whole chat was going, "What the hell is he talking about?"
Hey, I glanced at the chat a few times and I was like, I can't, because there was a brother. I was like, this is mean and funny. He was like, obviously you're not living such a great life because look at your weight or something like that towards the end. I was like, Jesus. When you like, I had to hold the laugh because I didn't mute. And I was like, he said, he either said something about being fluffy or something weight related. And I was like, bro, don't.
But you expose yourself to that kind of thing when you're arrogant, when you're dismissive and haughty. You expose yourself to people making those kind of comments, laughing at people and being dismissive and being misandrous.
So y'all trying to say that if Feek is living the soft girl life?
Probably at this point. But real talk though, in terms of that kind of piggyback off of Mr. Uru right there, I feel like when you pressed them about the tone policing, it really could be a dismissal of why there's a black manosphere in the first place, because you basically were saying, this is a place where men are coming to express themselves and their issues, and he pretty much was like, yo, fuck y'all, fuck that, fuck y'all feelings, I'm gonna tell y'all how to talk, which is like, wait, you're supposed to be this ardent lefty that emotional intelligence, and we're all this monsters. We don't know how to express ourselves.
I was waiting.
That is very leftist.
I was waiting. Go ahead, Black.
That is very leftist. That's very leftist behavior. That's classically leftist behavior. People pretending to be liberal and progressive, but often with a very narrow perspective about what it really means to be leftist or progressive. So no, actually, that's quite predictable. Quite predictable, and I mean, and we see that amongst feminists and the rainbow sorts and all that. Very, so-called progressive, but then very rigid in some very important ways.
Yeah, good point. This is the people I share a tent with, everyone. But what he had a soul, his Tony Tone backup reject. I know exactly which member of Tony you're talking about.
Yep.
He does in the face. He looks just like him for real.
He does look like him.
Oh no, not the guitarist.
Yeah, exactly.
And, Oliver the Gray says, and thank you for the super chat. Oliver the Gray, he says, great political job. BGS respectfully, I'll slap it. Slap him in the face for not putting respect on BGS name. I'm not saying no more. Oh, look.
I'm never gonna send a double negative.
Hey.
Excuse me, Black Guru, sir.
Go ahead.
Sure.
Like you talk about what you said about, what they do, the leftists about not doing what they're really about. They give lip service, but they try to flip the script.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually experienced that kind of condescending tone from so-called leftists before, especially when I've had discussions with them about, about when it comes to issues like, what African immigrants have to deal with and misconceptions and whatnot. The ones I've actually had really interesting conversations with were those who are more centrist, because they see things. I've also had conversations with those who are actually politically on the conservative side, but they were not afraid to deal with the uncomfortable truth up to a point. But the leftist ones, it seems like they're just like, some of them, especially like in the alphabet folks, I can respect their struggle.
BLM was supposedly for black people, but had totally segregated out the existence of straight black men and boys.
He didn't have nothing to say to me about that.
So this so-called progressive, outfit was not at all inclusive of almost half the population.
Good. Yeah, exactly.
You are not even seen as a human being. That's the thing, sir. None of us are seen as human beings. Our humanity has been denied.
And it comes back all around that point. Yeah, but it comes back to the same question. This is pretty much the same conversation that BGS had with Obi-Wan. And it was like, okay, you want to renounce patriarchy, or you want to do this. Okay, what's in it for black men? And no one can answer the question.
Exactly.
But what's in it for us?
Yeah. So that's what I said. When I said, what does the left have to offer? What do y'all have to say about the men that just want a family? That's pretty much what they're saying. Exactly. And let me read this real quick. Pensive said, Mr. Z, you were extremely polite to him while he was disrespecting you. It angered me to watch. And him calling you not that misogynistic in quotes. I mean,
yeah, I hated that shit.
Yeah, like I said, I caught it.
Yeah.
That I did catch. And that's why I read the comment later that said, you call him Mr. Z misogynistic, or was it the other way around? Either way. But I mean,
Mr. Z, look at this way.
Me wanting to lead my family and my woman who I'm in a relationship with currently,
lucky you,
wanting the same thing. How is that misogynistic? That we both want somebody to have the final say if something go down. If we run down the stairs and the house is on fire, and I say left and she say right, one of us got to be right now. Like, we don't got 15 minutes to debate it now.
Mr. Z, if I may,
you handle yourself well, but the left side took 2 L's this week with Destiny because Angry Man handed Destiny his ass.
Yeah.
He did, even though that was more of a conversational side. But the thing about Destiny had more respect and was more listening. It didn't have ad hominem or none of that crap in the conversation with Angry Man than this dude.
Yeah, Destiny didn't definitely have a segment of
Destiny didn't come. Destiny
and tell y'all how y'all irrelevant. But yeah,
Destiny didn't come through with that ad hominem and sneak diss and crap.
That's a fact.
Well, like you said,
conversation.
Like that. A lot of that rhetoric is just empty calories.
It's false equivalency.
Yeah. False equivalency, empty calories, fake moral supremacy. Again, because when you get down to it, it's like these things sound great in theory, but they're terrible in practice. And they don't want you to, and like I said before, and somebody brought up Sean James. I left a comment in his video. I'm like, listen, okay, here's the problem with you criticizing the so-called passport bros. I'm like, for most so-called pro-blacks and most feminists, The reason why they have such a problem with so-called passport bros, SYSBM, stuff like that is because they don't want the young men, the men under 30, between 18 and 30, to realize that most so-called pro-blacks and most feminists have literally nothing to offer them except sign language. Shame, insults, guilt, and need to be right. And they especially don't want them to learn, that they have no idea what the hell they're talking about when it comes to either making money or when it comes to maintaining stable relationships. They don't want them to realize that. That's why they keep trying to say, oh, well, you don't want to listen to those big, big old meanies over there, in the so-called black manosphere. It's like, listen, if these guys are so wrong, why do you keep coming over here? Okay. Again, none of us are talking about overthrowing the federal government. None of us are talking about we need to round up these black women and throw them in concentration camps.
Yeah.
None of that. So
They're saying that
Hey,
though.
Big Kev,
yeah,
remember
they're
though,
saying
you're irrelevant.
I
exactly.
mean, whatever. All this smoke for passport bros. I mean, the answer should just be this. Listen, well, if you can't alter a better alternative, shut the hell up.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
literally,
or even better.
pretty much
I'm
said that.
talking. Yeah, or even better.
Mhm.
Like what Edward Anderson said, there are more women engaging in so-called sex tourism than men. Yet you
Exactly.
guys don't talk about that. I wonder why.
The
You
strange
have
thing
book,
about
you
that
have,
is like
you
Big
have
Kev.
books written on this stuff.
Yeah. In fact,
Exactly.
Big Kev, when you think about it, you have comics talk about this. I remember Eddie Murphy Raw, if you
And
remember
by the way,
that.
you can jump in whenever you want. AO, go ahead.
All
Finish.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean Eddie Murphy Raw, and also I remember Sinbad live in Aruba.
Mhm.
On Aruba, he called out the women for what they were doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Of course, my favorite bit in that album was when he talked about the dude who claimed he got fired from the post office, but that's another discussion. But yeah.
And let us never forget about Terry McMillan.
Yeah.
Have
I
Oh
mean,
never
yeah.
Yeah.
I
that
think he.
that movie right there within itself gave them the green light to travel and do the buffoonery and debaucherous bullshit that they've
Mhm.
been doing. But when we
Yeah.
do it, oh, it's a problem.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Like like you said.
Elwood Johnson says pro-blacks know they are scared. They are losing control, and it's
Yes.
and
Yep.
FD comes from a certain brand of pro-black. I'm not a I would I don't know as much. I don't know as many of the forefathers and even all of the intellectual tenets, obviously. But I would argue I'm in that lane. I just refuse for us to continue, like Bernard said, continue to speak about this without talking about the women. You could talk. Can we just address this without talking about some of the people that participate and that perpetuate and that actually enjoy it? I'm like, no. Bernard's like, no. And we're on two different sides of the political spectrum in the Black Manosphere, but we're both like, no, they're gonna have to get this work. We will not be tone police and be told, can you address
Mr.
the
Z, we're not
black
supposed to talk about the elephant in the room.
yeah,
That's what it is.
the pink elephant in the room. We can't talk about it. Yeah,
Yeah, like you
exactly.
said.
Especially when it's shitting all over the place and we
Yeah.
can smell it to high heaven.
Yeah, yeah, and going back to what FG Signifier was talking about in regards to the racism argument, it's like
Mhm.
you're telling most so-called brothers about racism like we don't know that it exists. Like you're not telling us something we don't already know.
Yeah.
Like yeah, we know,
Mhm.
but we don't want to like. And again, this is why Shahrazad Ali was so controversial when she wrote her book called "The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman" back in like '89.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But remember, she got pushed back, and she was a so-called black woman saying
Yeah,
basically what
yeah,
we were
yeah,
saying,
yeah.
and they wanted to argue her down. They were giving her death threats, all that type of stuff. She literally said the when it came to the male female dynamic, she was basically saying, listen, okay, listen, y'all need healthy, strong so-called black men to be able to emotionally function properly and for your mental health. So-called black women,
Mhm.
you need. She was basically saying so-called black women need to uh, stay as far away from feminist dogma and rhetoric and propaganda as possible. Okay, and they need to focus on trying to make sure that they have a healthy dynamic with us because basically her argument was that um, you know, basically if you want a functional community, that's what it's going to have to be built on.
Mhm.
And and she even said before when it comes to some of the things that she was talking about, it's like, listen, the reason why they promote all these women like the Terry McMillans and the Bell Hooks, the reason why they promote all these black women, slandering black men is because that hatred and division, that keeps the dysfunction going. That's not bringing us together, it's tearing us apart. And it's like, how can you talk about community healing, FD signifier? How can you talk about community healing with literally an ideology that was designed primarily around waging class warfare against working class men,
Thank
primarily
you.
working class so-called black men? How can you come together and heal through something that was meant to antagonize you?
And black feminism, in many respects, black feminism, some of the most ardent black feminists were queer women who not only despise black men, but were not in relationship with black men, so they could run into the wall of their ideology being so antithetical to black men, right? And let me read this real quick. Pensive says, let me read this real quick, y'all. Pensive says, in a larger convo, hopefully y'all could have gotten to the root of how he views patriarchy, because for him, it seems to be inextricably linked to white hegemony. And I think that's the exact argument he was making. That's exactly what he was saying. And I was pushing back by saying, I don't think, and I didn't do, I don't, anyway, I'm gonna let that go. But my argument is, black men aren't arguing for what white men are arguing for. That's much of the reason. There's many reasons why there's a black manosphere, and that's one of them. That's one of the art. We don't care about you bowing to us and kissing our feet. We're not brothers. We want women to actually still be human beings, bro. We're not arguing.
We're not saying repeal the 19th. Repeal the 19th.
And that's a historical view of patriarchy anyway,
right? Like, we're not trying to be on some walk in the door, where's my meatloaf, my food not on the table, backhand. Like, nobody's trying to do that. Like, that's not the black manosphere's argument, especially on this side that I occupy. But
I still want my meatloaf though.
Yeah, right. But I'm not, you know what I'm saying? And and notice how I actually respect him for this. Give him my alarm, y'all. The whole loud. Okay, yeah, it's gonna go off a couple more times because that's when I will be getting ready for work. The whole argument of DV, where he started off conceding all of the points that he knows, because I was like, oh, I'm waiting, because we already know and I think he mitigated for that because of the conversation between Mr. Blue Hair and Bernard Riley. So, he when we got into the DV part, he kind of conceded a bunch of, so I didn't even really have to say anything because he conceded all of the points that the feminists would not concede. Right? Well, he's one, but the female feminists would not concede. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know if anybody caught this, but one thing that you just were Big Kev was just saying, and you that reminded me of that I really wish you would have pushed on.
Mm-hmm.
He said that he wanted to tear down white patriarchal structures, and then he deemed marriage a white patriarchal structure.
Yeah. I caught that. Yeah, I caught that. Mm-hmm.
And every culture has marriage in one form or another.
Exactly.
Like that's not white supremacist. That's not an agency of white supremacy.
And that's why I said later on, like, so everything y'all disagree with will be painted with white supremacy, and so we got to throw it in the trash, like that. And that's such a black feminist tenet in painting everything we disagree with in a misogynist. We view everything we disagree with in a misogynistic patriarchal lens, or through a misogynistic patriarchal lens, and then we just throw it in the trash because this is white man stuff. And like, I'm gonna straight up tell y'all, if you're saying you will lose almost all black men if y'all continue with if you want a nuclear heterosexual,
they already have
with kids, then yeah. So all right. Like I said, go find the Griffins from the Vice panel.
Yeah. I was in the background like, yeah, Z getting fed up.
If we're a threat, and I'll say it again, if we're a threat and you want these different type of relationship models, go date Griffin. Right,
Bryce.
Go Griffin, or go end up in a same-sex relationship. We already know about the same-sex relationship rate for black women in America, so I guess it'll just continue to go up. If that's what,
and the DV in it,
and well, that's gonna come with it, and that's just gonna come with it. Oh well.
Listen,
you know about the story the story going around right now about the dude that might have that deleted his wife, right?
No.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, it's like they worked in like a car dealership or whatnot. I think
he worked at a car dealership, and his wife supposedly was disappeared, and he never reported it, but like other relatives and neighbors did.
Yeah, tragic. But here's the thing,
Okay,
though.
that's a story for me to follow. Yeah, I didn't hear anything about this.
Yeah,
What? How about?
here's the thing about that, though. Again, going back to the so-called misogyny argument. Okay, two things. Number one, if so-called black men are such a danger, why do y'all feel so emboldened to be disrespectful?
Good point. That's a good point. That's a
Like
good
you would
point.
think. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm not about to pick a fight with somebody that I know that can easily beat me within an inch of my life without
Mike
even
Tyson in
trying.
the '90s.
I'm
This is
sorry.
like Mike
Like,
Tyson in the '90s.
and that's why that's why it's hard to feel sympathetic, for a lot of these women who instigate domestic violence. I'm like, you put that man in a lose-lose situation.
I think you were
If he
being
does
nice with that,
nothing,
and not
yeah,
instigate.
yeah,
Started,
exactly.
initiated.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. As far as it instigated. Number one, if he does nothing, he's going to be seen as a coward
Yep.
because he let a woman beat him up. And number two, if he does nothing, he's going to. I'm sorry to say, if he does violently retaliate, he's going to be seen as a
It's a
coward
monster.
because he beat up on. Yeah, exactly. So it's like,
Damned if you
don't
do,
put
damned if you don't.
exactly. So it's like, why are you instigating a fight? Even if the cops show up, the average police time is like what, 8 to 15 minutes.
Oh yeah,
He can
you
kill
did.
you in less than 2 minutes.
Yeah,
So it's like even then you're playing with your life. I'm sorry, I don't play with my life like that. I mean, again, you know, if I know somebody that can easily beat me up without even trying, like I don't know, somebody like Michael J. White, I am not about to try to antagonize that person and provoke that person to anger because I don't know what they're going to react to. You know, like why? I just, you know what I mean. But again, that's just us being logical, But then again, going back to what we were saying about the um I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought here. Just give me a
it's
few
all right.
seconds.
It's
You
all
go
right.
Yeah,
catch those hands, basically. The only thing you can do in that situation,
yeah,
since it's a
exactly.
lose, only thing you can do in a lose-lose situation like that is take yourself out of that equation.
Mm-hmm.
Walk away, because if anybody's remember I remember, like, this is a trope that you always hear, like in Manosphere talk, especially in the MGTOWs, is like that one tagline for the movie War Games: the only winning move is not to play.
Well, I mean, and I don't want to focus too much on the DV thing because he kind of conceded a bunch of things on that one where it wasn't. I didn't even have to say anything because he walked into his own thing and he was like, "Oh, yep, I know what he's gonna say. Let me back out." Right? So,
Exactly.
you know, so
Yeah. Like I said, the Duluth model, which is what we were all referring to as far as the assumption that domestic violence is unilaterally male to female. Yeah, that's been debunked like 100 times over. So again, but going back to what you're saying as far as us being in danger, that listen, if they were in such danger, especially if you look at BGS and people like our hardcore Tito and their history of documenting, how the so-called democracy was used as a way of undermining and subverting so-called black men. If most of us were such mouth-frothing misogynists, the first thing that most black men would have done is they would have taken all the black female concubines, fresh out of slavery, and they would have took all the so-called white women during the Civil War. They would have literally murdered all those women in cold blood.
Yep.
Just killed them, killed them and their children. Regardless of the consequences. That's what they would have done. Like they would have done something similar to what the French did to the French woman who collaborated with the Nazis during World War II.
Shave their
They would
head.
have did that, but like 100 times worse. They would have just like flat out just targeted genocide, and they didn't. And in fact, again, the problem with most so-called black men is that we're too lenient. We're too willing to extend an olive branch. We believe in this narrative of we have to, going back to what I was saying, other people, we try way too hard to prove our manhood to people that don't deserve respect. And that's the reason why, again, unfortunately the space or this space will continue to grow because, again, they say that we're these lunatics and that we're misogynists and that we have no credibility. You can say all that, but at the end of the day, is that the thing that you can have the utmost confidence is that y'all are inevitably going to lie to their face about the realities of making money and the realities of mating, and they're going to be looking for answers.
Yeah,
that's what I was
thinking. Yeah,
and yet you still, we're all monsters and all these other things. Yet you still keep talking about this, though.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Well,
so
and
frustrating
he told
that
on
he claims
himself.
intelligence. Go ahead.
He told on himself at the very end when he bragged about how well he was doing.
Yep.
Because what that said to me was that explained what his true motives are. And so everything that I heard prior to that point, because I, you know, with all due respect, I just assumed that that whole exercise was about him boistering his credibility amongst your, you know, feminists and rainbow types. I think, and I think that will be his primary purpose as he traipses through the Black manosphere. How do I build credibility amongst people who he can then market to, you know, on the back end, as he so gleefully described near the end of his presentation today. So he told on himself in his own hubris, in his own arrogance. He really told what he was really about at the end there.
Yep. And you know what? I hope
essentially he was like, look at what I got. And like I'm doing it, like I'm doing that without being misogynistic. And what we're saying is you are because you're gonna, and if FD brother, if you're listening, I am willing to put a little bit of money down because you got more than me right now. You're killing me in the numbers. I'm willing to put a little bit of money that you're gonna run into the wall, because I see you baby stepping and attempting to critique some of what the women say. Like when you mentioned when we are emotionally intelligent, then they want us to be patriarchal again, right? They want to go back to patriarchal norms. He mentioned that on one of his Christmas videos. So I see what you're doing, but brother, eventually you're gonna have to get louder, and boom, you're gonna hit that wall, and it's gonna be hard.
Yeah, like you said,
if you mean
eventually you are gonna have to deal with those white dudes, and you think they're gonna let that bullshit you saying fly?
Bro,
exactly. Yeah, like you said, again, it's a self-inflicted minefield. Again, you have to constantly walk on eggshells. Listen, if you have to constantly walk on eggshells all the time, especially in like a non-business setting, if you have to constantly walk on eggshells all the time, again, like you said, it's only a matter of time. All you have to do is have one disagreement, and boom, you're canceled, just like that. And like I said, and it's going to be furious. It's going to be vicious. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's sad to say, but that's what it is. Again, it's like
10 minutes.
And the reason why this is because
you gotta go handle life after this. Go ahead, y'all.
Yeah, the reason why this is because again, you don't leave any slack or any room for disagreement. That's the reason why they're more of an echo chamber than we are. And again, that's the reason why they try to project that onto us. They're way more of an echo chamber. If you look at the grapevine, if you look at all this other stuff, it's just an echo chamber of, okay, whatever the woman say, just agree with it and be like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Till Michael B. Jordan walks into the room.
Right.
Exactly.
This is where I'm in perfect agreement. I was about to say synergy. I was about to use that nigga word. Oh goddamn! I'm in agreement with Big Kev on this, which is like I'm losing my train of thought. But like the way he was, I let things go. But I think it was important to allow him to speak and to like Black Lou was saying, be a bit braggadocious, right, about the life he living, and kind of and in the beginning I was like, bro, you playing too much, because you can mute up, right, when you're talking to your kids, and I'm like, but that's all brothers want, to tell their kids to stay out the fridge and to say hi to their lady when she walk in the door. Literally,
I go on the limb and say,
and 2 kids. And a 2-car garage, and that's all Black men are asking for. And y'all, and like it's like y'all saying, yeah, nah, nigga.
Nah.
Yeah.
The way you sound in YouTube braggadocious, you sound like your wife don't like you.
Right. Or like or like what he said about we need to understand and tell these men that, if you're gonna be a patriarch like that, it's gonna take hard work. When has anyone ever said it was gonna be easy?
Yeah,
tell me.
And you talk as if like none of these men here have ever in their entire life had a girlfriend or ever been married.
Well, hey, I was waiting for him to
feigns intelligence with an ahistorical view of everything. It's so frustrating. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was waiting for him to bring up some type of insult talk. I was waiting because I was like, bro, and I've said it before. There is a number of men that haven't had sex in a year and blah blah blah. But niggas in this space is fucking, and they got they're in relationship. They've been in relationship with Black women. So, but he didn't bring it up. So that's a whole hypothetical. But go ahead. Better, you was gonna say something.
I know. I was just I thought it was kind of interesting. Like there were a lot of like pseudo white supremacists talking points coming. Like the way he was being very condescending. It was the liberal white supremacists, not
it was very black misandrous. It was very black misandrous.
Yeah. And I mean that is, once again, like I said, this is who I'm in the under tent with. Goddamn. But and as I said to him, as I've said, me and AB have said this. Y'all don't got nothing. If y'all don't got nothing to offer on the political left, the shaming tactics won't work. If you don't understand, it's because you have patriarchal notions won't work. None of what y'all are doing are gonna work. So I would flip what MD said when he said the 17 to 23-year-olds are coming into space. I would argue these brothers are only one heartbreak. FD, you got 2 boys, brother. You have 2 boys. They're one heartbreak away from being here, player. One.
Imagine walking in listening to Ed.
Bruh, I'm saying you have 2 boys, player. 2. You and understand what I'm saying. If you do not engage with your sons and say, listen, I don't want you to hate women, hate black women, but they're human beings too. They're gonna be, and I'm being super nice by saying it this way. They're gonna be selfish too. They're gonna do shiesty stuff too. They're gonna say sexist, which y'all call misogynist, but misandrous stuff too. This is gonna happen, and I'm gonna attempt to arm you with the tools to get over it and not stay like what we call the red pill rage space. But if you don't even acknowledge that this is a thing, oh, that's why we got them. Yeah. That's why they over here.
I'm like, I'm like, they want to talk about so-called fighting misogyny. I'm like, well, under your whole ideological notion of assuming that all women are just sweet and innocent, you're going to create more raging misogynists like that. Think about this, okay? You're a young dude. You're taught that everything about you, that all masculinity is evil, and you're taught that all women are sweet and innocent. And when you go out into the real world, you realize that, like you said, that a lot of these women are selfish and short-sighted, and they will lie on you and undermine you and make false accusations against you.
I'm saying,
okay, if you're going out of your way to give them a slap on the wrist, okay, for this like overtly slanderous and disrespectful behavior, and then trying to gaslight them into saying that you're not a real man because you did for saying anything at all, raising any type of concerns, that's going to create more underlying hostility and resentment, especially if these brothers read up on the history of things such as placage and the Tawana House and how these gynocentric social norms are used as a way of undermining the community. I'm like,
5 minutes, you guys. 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm like, you're going to create a misogynist just like that. You know?
He going to have that conversation with one of his sons, and they're going to be like, okay, Dad, and they're going to be on the bus listening to school, and you know what they're going to end up listening to?
BTS.
Myron. No, worse, Myron. He gonna come in.
That is wrong because that is far too high up in the Nile. Wrong, my dude.
They're gonna be listening to Minister Jap. They're gonna be listening to Minister Jap.
Yep, Minister Jap. They're gonna be listening to Minister Jap.
But Minister Jap, okay, not Myron.
If he's presumably middle class and they're like a lot of little black boys I know, they probably gonna be too busy with some little white or Latina girls. From what I see.
Yeah.
Hey,
damn, he dating out early.
And let's be honest.
I mean, they dating out real early now.
Yeah.
So that's probably what's gonna happen. You know, I mean, you can get heartbreak from white girls and Latina girls too. But I don't think it'll be this. I don't think it'll be this thing. Well, you know, for his sons, black girls are bust. I'm assuming he lives some sort of suburban lifestyle and maybe is in some sort of integrated school system. So those boys are probably going to be messing around with some of the white and Latina or Asian girls.
And the first conversation he has with a black girl probably ain't gonna go well.
Yeah, and imagine that you critiqued our space, you spoke the way you spoke. You have a black wife. And your sons, both of them, come home with non-black women. Just imagine if that happens. This is once again hypothetical. That happens, and if that happens, or even on the other side, where we're saying they're listening to even white man's fear. Oh God, if they listen to white man's fear dudes, your sons are gone. But Like, so if they're listening to these manosphere, black manosphere guys particularly, that's us saying, okay, we told you so.
Told you.
Well, here's a scarier thought, Z. Here's a scarier thought. What if they were like, I don't know how old they are, but eventually when they get to their teens, they start listening to this individual. Mad bus driver here.
Somebody put that in the comments. Shout out, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll hit him with a darker reality. Y'all talking about his sons.
T-Rex, my man.
But respectfully and statistically speaking, if his wife is college educated and black, then he has a 90% chance of getting divorced.
It's a failure.
So who says he
Yeah, I was
even
actually
sees
about
it?
to say that too.
You right back over here, nigga.
I knew he was gonna say
we
that.
was lying though. But we was lying though. All right,
Alan, you were just cold.
And she does
like,
work.
oh, okay, give it 5 years.
Then you got the blown face.
Yes, you can help me.
All right.
Yeah.
No, I don't see a brother like that doing that. If his wife does divorce him, and I don't see them getting divorced. But you never know. All right, you never know.
Oh, he can hate watch.
Yeah, but
I said statistically speaking.
Now I do.
Keeping it real, I ain't see my divorce coming either.
Oh man, hey.
Everybody got a plan till they get hit in the face. Mike Tyson.
And Better You is a very calm brother.
Man, there's a whole lot of FD signifiers gonna be in court tomorrow morning wondering what the hell happened.
Good
point.
Yeah, I just want to ask a question to Better, first of all. To Better, before I ask my question to you, sir. Before I ask you what I gotta say, Better. First of all, Alan, that was I take great exception to what you just said about me. You know, that was ludicrous of you, right? You ludicrous for saying that. That's ludicrous. Anyway, Better. Anyway, I will. No, Alan, don't try me. I'll eat your children. Don't play with me, man. That was little truth. I'll eat your children.
Why not, dog? It's
My office is impeccable. My thesis is impregnable. Operate me to a law.
Hey, leave all law out of this. But Better,
you guys are about to head out, man. See you guys later.
Real quick.
All right, later, Big Kev. But Better, hold on, Better.
He was standing on stage and he said, "I'll grape you." And I was like, whoa, Mike, what you got going on, bro? What you talking about right now? In front of everybody, too. And he was right. Nobody could have stopped him from reaching the dude. That was true. That was
yeah.
What he said.
But my question to Better is, Better, you said you didn't see it coming, of course, because it came from you from the blind side as usual. That's where they hit you from, right from the blind side.
Yeah, I mean, you think you're in a place where
final statement.
Go ahead, Joe. You know. Honestly, I didn't want a divorce. I just wanted her to act right. That's really all it came down to.
Bro, Better, do you understand how deep what you just said was?
That's the whole thesis of the manosphere.
Just did, bro. That's
the thesis.
All we're listen to what Black, and that's why I said what I said about the SYSBM and passport bros and everything. You hear what Better You said? I didn't want a divorce. I just wanted her to act right. And what Black women are saying is act right. I think I'm out. And so we like, all right, I'm taking my passport and I'm out. Right? Hey, that's all we saying. Listen,
and we talk about all this community shit. When a woman want to leave your ass, she don't give a fuck about the community, and half the time she don't give a damn about your family.
But
when she want to leave, she just want to go.
The difference. Yeah. That's the difference between the mindset we have here and the mindset of feminism. The difference is we still want to understand responsibility to his woman and his children. We understand that and accept that responsibility. Unlike feminism, which teaches them to do for themselves and only themselves.
Oh, good.
I would go one step farther. I feel like with a lot of women, and this gets overlooked as women are these benevolent, the figures in society. A lot of women want to, when post-divorce, I've seen it so many times. You talk about trying to break somebody and burn everything down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even to the points where it hurts them.
Yeah. No.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I've seen.
Dude, have you seen Derek? Dude, have you seen Derek?
Yeah.
Has anybody seen Derek Jackson's now ex-wife? How she's going off the rails?
Completely.
But she looked like she was already going off.
Yeah, but I know it's a bad example in a sense considering what he actually is.
Yeah.
But you see that damage. I remember like on Charles's hangout when I broke it down. What the hell was wrong with her? She's
But
just she's
but
raging and she's in pain.
Yeah.
And she wants to destroy. It's like what Ice-T said it best. So he said, "Let me tell you something. When a woman's not happy with herself, she brings nothing to pain to every fucking body around her."
Yeah. That's the way they emote. But all right, you guys. Anybody got any final words?
Well,
Yeah, Mr. Z.
It's called therapy.
Yeah, Mr. Z. You know, knowing you and knowing how you drive, and you know you don't know how to maintain the car. Give me the keys. I got to take it to the garage and fix it. You know, how many times I tell you? Always trust an Ethiopian or Eritrean mechanic. We always do the shit right.
I don't know about all
that.
Yeah.
Well, you know
my
now,
last
nigga.
statement. And I got my last statement, and I hope FD's signifiers listening. And it's a simple song. We ain't going nowhere. We ain't
going nowhere. We can't be stopped now because we're the man. It's for life.
Hysterical. Alan Stranger, better you. Y'all got anything?
I just want to say, like, yo, you did a great job. Hope all you guys have a great night. I'm about to get this late night workout in, and
Go ahead, bro.
wish all you guys the best, man.
Go ahead.
All right, thank you, brother.
You did a great job.
You did an amazing job, dude.
You did a great job.
Thank you. Yeah, look, I just want to do well by you guys. I'm gonna bring you guys down. But
you did great, man.
All right, thank you. Good night, y'all. Good night.
Later.
You know, I thank y'all for being in here. I did as best I can, and once again, thank you for the brother FD for coming in. As you can see, brother FD, you've been in the black community. Well, you're part of the black community. You've been in barbershops. You know, brothers could have been flaming, and we didn't because, brother, at least the space of the side of the Black Manosphere I occupy, we ain't on no, insane crazy thing. But yeah, so once again, disagree with you on a lot. But yeah, you're always welcome to have the conversation. Shout out to the brother Pensive. Like he said, it would have been great to see what your definition of patriarchy is, and if you think that black men are striving for the same type of thing that white men are or other non-black men are. But yeah, damn Ed, I'm gonna bring you on, Ed. You got 5 minutes to do what you gotta do. 5 minutes, Ed. That's only because we both the same age and stuff like that. So, I'm only bringing Ed on. Ed, the only one that pressed the link, please and thank you. Go ahead, Ed. I'm going. Good. That's for Edward Anderson. So, Ed, if you want to come up, you got 5 minutes, brother. 5 minutes. We got an Edward Anderson sighting. It would be Ed coming in last minute. Did he already leave? Maybe he already left. But yeah, y'all. So I'll give Ed a minute if he's gonna come up. But yeah, so once again, thank y'all for listening in. Alan Stranger said plays Rocky theme. Right. So yeah, so thank y'all for coming in. And brother FD, thank you for the conversation. And I literally thank you for who said it. Oh, there go Ed. Thank you for who said it. I literally did 3 streams today. Jesus. God.
Yeah, you know how it feels. Yeah,
right?
so.
Long streams too, Ed. Not no little 30-minute long streams, 20-minute. We talking about hours. Go ahead, Ed.
I mean, I'm gonna keep it real. I haven't seen any. I saw that you had FD Signifier on there, and I was like, well, fuck that. I don't even want to hear it, and then get me pissed off. So I'll probably do a play-by-play. Because I haven't even seen.
Go ahead.
No, well, play-by-play when I do the stream. So I'm gonna do that stream like right now in case anybody want to have some fun.
I might come up a little bit later, but I gotta go spend time with the lady in a minute.
Yeah, and so. Yeah, but I see, folks came up there. Did was FD on there with any other folks on there, or did he leave? And then y'all had an after panel?
No, so it was I did so I was speaking about Tracy Ellis Ross this morning in FD Signifier. So I did kind of a mashup. FD came into my comments. Roger Report offered his channel if we wanted to speak. I ran upstairs, set up everything for me, set up a panel, and it was just me and FD for like 2 hours. Then I got off and came back on in like 2-3 hours and did a panel where we reviewed the video. You could do a panel because I think I would love to hear what you have to say about our conversation, play by play. So so people just gonna get this work, I guess, with the FD conversation, me and FD today. So yeah, that's how it went, to answer your question in a long-winded way.
Yeah. And yeah, the panels can be kind of like a pile on, you know, especially with the stuff with him. My thing with between your conversation, Bernard's conversation, shout out to Roger Report, shout out to the Black Manosphere show of the week, by the way. So shout out to Roger being on it.
You on it right now.
But the thing is, sorry about that. So the thing is, we got to be like straight and direct. Damn. All right, we got to be straight and direct. The thing is, he does a lot of talking around shit. Because what he's trying to do is lead you to an outcome. And the thing that, you know, if I was talking to him, and I would say, dude, one thing you need to get this out of, this is not a negotiation. This is not a negotiation. This isn't, we're going to sit here and you're going to tell us, we got people in our space that know way more about the community than you do, know way more about what's going on than we do. We know we got dudes in this space that know way more about feminism than you do. You know, not just BGS, GG, Dr. Tiasan Johnson, Ron O'Neill. You got like, you know, we got dudes that flex with the system, and the lead attorney. And the lead attorney is self-proclaimed purple pill, and he got more women enlisted to him than men. That's how it is now. So this idea that we're these extremists, yes, we understand that you academics are in your bubble and you all must operate in propaganda, because that's the only way you all's world can work. And I know that because this is what we started talking about. Did you talk to him about the trans stuff?
No, we didn't go into that. We didn't even.
Okay. So my thing is, it's like, dude, like nothing what you're saying is structural or anything that has worked. Show me the community. Show me the community, any community, race, ethnic group that has successfully had a community either within a country or on its own with the ideology that you're trying to push.
He did mention some egalitarian African tribes, and he pretty much
where we're not talking about historically, because Africa got conquered with the exception of like Ethiopia.
Comments exactly, brothers was saying that too. But he tried this. I think you're gonna find interesting, and when you review it, you'll see. Let me get this out actually, Ed, real quick. Pensive, thank you, and he says, "Good day, Z." Thank you, and thank you for this super chat. He tries to tie patriarchy to white supremacy. And I think that you're gonna have a field day with that one. He tried to tie. So pretty much what we're aspiring to is a form of white supremacy by wanting certain patriarchal tenets in our relationships with Black women.
So so the way that's dealt with is, what are you putting up? What you putting up is boys are girls and girls are boys. That minors get to select their gender.
Yeah.
That's what you're putting. Like, so the question becomes, what are you putting up? Because and I'm not gonna make this long, but that I just want to give a quick answer to that is the opposite of that. Like, what is it? People haven't even this. Feminism is not okay. Let me be very clear here. Feminism is not the opposite of white supremacy. Feminism is white supremacy.
Thank you.
Let's be very clear about that. I would rather have a conversation with Richard. You will be able to convince more Black men to lock arms with guys like Richard Spencer under the guise of creating a baseline of men as far as what men do in this country than you would getting Black men to lock arms with Black feminists. Like, that's literally, I'm going to say it straight up. I don't see a difference between Jared Taylor and Richard Spencer and Black feminists. I don't.
I think he would have a lot to say to you about that one.
And I would tell him, you tell me what the difference is as it applies to Black men. And I'm going to tell you why. Black women see Black men through the eyes of white men. And the feminists are the worst about that. Feminism is anti-pro-Blackness. There is no pro-Blackness within its oil and water. It cannot mix. It will find its way to separate. It's not the same thing. Shahrazad Ali talked about that. Iyada Van Zam eventually understood that. So understand that in the eyes of, I don't speak for the Black manosphere, but I'm sure a lot of dudes would agree. We don't see a difference between a Richard Spencer and the stuff that he's pushing. Like, and he can say whatever he wants to say, but the reality is, you see black men as human resource capital, and what you're trying to do is get black men. You're trying to get black men to buy into a system which is no different than black men buying into being an underclass, to be a concubine class.
Well, I mentioned that also. It's the brother. My girl just leaned over to see who talking with Ed, but no, it's I did, but it's this. I actually mentioned that, and I brought up nameless hive model a little bit to pretty much say like, how do you expect men to actually sign up for that? Like the my late girl leads from behind. I do all the hard lifting, and she has all the say so because I'm a big dumb jock. How is this supposed to work? And how do you incentivize men? And I should have said it like that, and I'm beating myself up for not saying it. How do you incentivize the boys and the men to sign up for that? That's the one thing I'm beating up on myself the most about, is not saying that, because I've said it on like every other panel, but I just couldn't get it out on this one. But yeah.
And let's say, and I'll say this and I'm done. Let's say we play his game about the quote unquote matriarchal shit, which is, you got the patriarchal shit, which is established during the Industrial Revolution, because the entire patriarchy,
egalitarian, not matriarchal. No, I'm agreeing with you, by the way. But yeah, that's
well, we can play word games, but I could slap you in the face and then say, no, I didn't slap you, I just mushed you. You registered the slap because you're weak. We can play that game if he wants to play it. We could say, oh, I didn't kill you, it's manslaughter. Like, we can play that game. And by the way, that's what white people do, by the way. They do. That's why the English language is a language with a lot of similar meaning, same words with different meanings. So a lot of times these folks use white supremacist tactics, but then try to say, oh, we're the opposite. It's just like what pro-blacks do. They want to talk about the black church but operate. But this is what I was going to say. We could play the matrilineal game, the extended family game. We could do that. But the problem is, when women say it takes a village to raise a child, for example, they don't want to be accountable to the village. Back in the day, everybody could beat that kid's ass if they saw that kid acting up. All the adults had the right to beat, not all of them like in succession, but if you saw a kid acting up, if you slapped the shit out of that motherfucker, it wouldn't be no, why did you do that? It would be what he did. That's what it would be. They don't want that. That's the same reason with the stepfather situation. It was understood that if that was that man's house, that was that man's rules. And the woman made sure the kids understood that. And if you didn't, he might remind you. When I had a stepfather, my stepfather had the ability to whoop us.
Yeah.
So my point is, even if you play that matrilineal game, you have internal issues with even families when it comes to checking certain people. You see, if you want a village, then you need to understand the village has the ability to veto your ass.
But Ed, we both know what they actually mean when they say
that. I'm not even
really
talking about that for the women. I'm talking about that for him, because that's my point. If you want to set up the say, okay, this is the opposite. This is why they don't want to even do that. And you know how I know that's true? Because when women start to talk like they got some sense, those women get attacked. The reason why you have more women talking like they got some sense now is because there's enough of them to where it's not easy to basically eat one and pick them off. So now you got Danica Marie, you got Shay Sade, you got even Six to say some real shit from time to time. And now you got more of a pushback versus back in the day in 2.0 when you heard me first time, you had Ashley, you had other women, they would beat up on these chicks like 7-1. If you deviate, and these were women that weren't even like black men don't do no wrong. They were like what they would consider in the middle. Like they would be more like 6. Like niggas need to do this, and they would just get taken out. And black men don't protect black women when it comes to other black women coming for them. Because black men can't tell the difference between a good black woman and a bad black woman. So if black women are harming another black woman,
he said that about us. He said that about us. Like they can't tell the difference between a a good black man in a
No, they can't. No, that's not true. They can, because how can you consistently be sexually attracted to bad black men if you can't delineate the difference? Roger says that if you're picking consistently the same thing, that means you demonstrated you recognize the difference.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna do this stream, and I'm gonna cook.
I'm gonna try to come on later.
All right, peace out.
All right, later. All right, Edward Anderson signing. All my papers and clothes are all thrown around the room now and everything. All my stuff is thrown around the room. Hurricanes come and go. All right, y'all. So I'm gonna end it there. Love, peace, and chicken grease. I'll let the brother Ed get the last word in. And even like I said, brother FD, you're always welcome to have different conversations. I would love to see. And for those of y'all that hear the clapping, I'm like hitting the front of one hand with the back of my other hand. I'm not like, like hood girl clapping, with my palms and stuff, right? I'm just doing that so I can remember what I'm trying to say. It's almost like snapping, right? But yeah, so because I heard myself doing it on the stream with FD, and I'm like, oh man, I sound like I'm hood girl snapping. But let's end it right there. Love, peace, and chicken grease. And the Edward Anderson, shout out to the brother Roger Report. And love, peace, and chicken grease. And I will pause right there. Mr. Z out. All right, y'all. Later.